This is going to be
numbers.
Gas.
All right, we
podcast.
All right, guys, it's ClevelandMoto podcast number 425. That's 4 1/4. Yeah, 4 1/4. 2. Yeah, light them up. Oh, that's so good. I've got the. This is hilarious that Becky brought the beer. She went beer shopping and she brought Ellicottville Brewing Company, which is where I go skiing.
Yeah, right.
And that's our local haunt when we're in Ellicottville skiing. So I got the Schwarz beer, which is totally a
Schwarz beer?
Schwarz beer. Yep, it's right on the money. To my immediate left.
Is Dan Crockett?
To his left.
Steve Sleepy.
To his left.
Johnny Mac.
And celebrity bartender tonight is
Tom Pennington.
in the Rathskeller.
Yep.
Hey, so we had all of us here were at our DGR ride.
Yep.
We did a little sample. We gave you a little audio sample
Yep.
of what it sounded like after the DGR ride.
Right.
Which was a good shit show.
Postmortem.
Yeah, right. It was great. So I did get updates on the numbers
Okay.
in case people wanted them. So Tony Saltis actually went around, Silent P. He actually went around and counted
Really?
over 200 bikes. So
Nice.
well over 200
Very
bikes.
nice.
And it was one of those things like my ex-girlfriend used to say, I knew it felt big, but I wasn't sure. And yeah. And it's true. I mean, what a fucking gaggle, man. What a bunch of bikes we had. I have not yet solved the mystery of the disappearing Triumph Chase van.
Oh, yeah.
Or the not appearing Triumph Chase van.
Right.
Because we were committed. Well, we were committed to have a ride, but they had committed.
And committed.
They had committed to provide us with a Chase van and a driver and the whole deal because that is a thing, right?
I mean, isn't Triumph sort of a global sponsor for this thing?
Curious that you would bring that up.
That's their name right up there.
Now,
Do you mean global sponsor?
was the van a Triumph?
No, the van was a Sprinter.
So we can't just
we
expect it
can't
to be
blame
breaking down.
Yeah. So, yes, they are the global sponsor of the event. And you'd think that, there are plenty of their customers were there.
Right.
A newly formed Triumph club of Triumph motorcycle enthusiasts being spearheaded by a couple of lovely older gentlemen, as you'll have. They approached me and they were like, yeah, we're putting together an actual real Triumph club, like a Triumph motorcycle club. And I was like, you mean like Rat? And they went, what?
Oh.
And I went, okay, all right, great.
I'm even a member of the forums for Rat because they have a Triumph.
I am because they have technical specifications and I figure out how to fix broken crap.
Right, well, that too, yeah.
So that was when I said, you mean like Rat?
You mean like Rat?
And they went, huh?
Huh?
And I went, oh, you're adorable.
Well, they were the new, like, they bought, like, restored Triumphs, right, those guys?
Oh, no, they had Speedmasters.
Oh, did they have the new?
No, there was a mix.
Okay.
There were some nice bikes.
Because I saw a couple guys that had, there were a couple guys that had older Triumphs that were,
Yeah.
like, the Triumph guys.
Oh, yeah.
Then I saw one or two older guys that seems like they might have purchased an older Triumph recently.
I did notice a really nice manicure.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Right.
So the fella who handed me the card, and this is for what it's worth, okay? I'm going to say it. It's not going to make me look good, but I'm going to say it.
That's all right.
That's not why we live our lives.
I was having my interview with the folks at Channel 5, and I'm having my interview, and I'm talking to the camera.
Chanel number 5.
Yep.
Chanel number 5. So I'm having my interview, and I'm doing what I do. You've all been there. It's called point camera at Phil, walk away. And so one take is all I ever need.
Yep.
I know the talking points, and I'm giving them the history, telling them about DGR, telling them about what it's about, telling them about the sponsors, telling them about these fine folks who've been doing this for 11 years, raising hundreds of goddamn thousands of dollars for charities that affect us and people that we know who have died of this goddamn horrible disease. And they're covering prostate cancer. They're covering Movember. They're covering men's suicide prevention. There's a lot of wonderful things that are happening. And all of a sudden, this guy just gives me a shoulder and gets in the camera shot.
Does he yell, fucker in the pussy?
I was
Right in the pussy.
I was waiting
You know
for him.
why I'm here.
I was waiting for him to shout Baba Booey, right?
Same thing.
And so this guy, and I look at him. Now it's DGR. But when I looked at him, his face didn't say motorcycle enthusiast. His face said councilman, right? Ombudsman or whatever.
Right.
So I thought that this guy was maybe from the channel. I thought that this guy might have been somebody from the city of Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
I would not think that this is the president of the up and coming new Triumph Club stealing my airtime. And he did.
Wow. Well, they didn't air that.
Well, they didn't air it. So
No, they aired you.
I know.
They didn't air him.
Wisely, I think somebody looked at the camera and went, well, that was awkward. Somebody looked at the film and went, well, that was
Yeah,
awkward.
no, they edited it well because
Yeah.
I remember I was about to fall asleep,
I wish I would
really?
have seen that.
and then
I'm sure we can find
It
it.
was on, it's on 5.
Yeah.
And so they were like, bikers take to the streets of Cleveland this
Right.
weekend
Yeah.
to raise money for charity.
Right.
Let's go to the organizer, Phil Waters of ClevelandMoto. And then they,
I haven't seen it.
oh, that's great. No, they made you look really good. I mean,
good.
Not that you wouldn't, but
Right.
It was a really nice piece. They, just like you said, like how you hit talking points.
Right.
The editor was like, oh, this guy knew what he was talking about. And so like he literally took all your, and the way and how you end talking points,
Right.
which is what you always did for motor stories. And hopefully we'll do. But you're really good at leaving the editor room to do stuff.
That's the idea.
So he just was like bop, 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 and that was it. Next story, man.
So I'm happy it came out great.
Yeah.
But I'm also, it's kind of funny that that guy didn't make the cut.
No, he wasn't even involved at all.
Yeah. So anyway, so at the end of it all, at the end of the event, when it was all said and done and we'd made it back and we didn't need the chase truck because Chris, one of our guy who rides with us all the time, who's super dedicated, super hardcore, cut him. He bleeds DGR. He's been to every Cleveland event we've ever done. He lost his wife last year and it really ripped him up. And so he said, I'm not riding motorcycles. It's just not what I'm doing right now. I'm getting my head together. But if you want, I'll bring out my Chevy 2500 with 2 ramps in the back of it.
That thing was awesome.
And he had whoop plates.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And he was not frightened.
That looks just like a city
Hey,
truck.
shout out. Hey.
I thought it was. I honestly.
Oh,
Oh, no, it looks like
yeah.
a city truck.
So cool.
It is awesome. It is the white Chevy work truck of every city, everywhere, with the yellow and white construction lights. And man, that guy was on it.
He was on it. He was not afraid to go
You
out
know,
and get in an intersection.
You guys just nailed something. If he just took a whatever city and then ripped up the thing or faded out a thing and just left the city part on there.
Oh, yeah.
City of
Nobody
whatever.
would
Yeah.
ever think
Now,
twice.
speaking of which, we passed through it. I don't know if it was Brecksville or not,
Put a blue stripe on
but
it.
we passed through a town right after we stopped at what is the
Crossline or crosstown or
Crossline bar we went to?
County Line Saloon. You
Yeah.
see, here's the way it works. When you're not sure, get quiet.
When
Then one of us will fill it in.
when we passed by there and we left,
Yeah.
and we passed a cop that came out of a gas station,
I recall that.
and he came out tearing ass. And I was in the back. Like I laid back. I was running the back of the pack because that's what I do. And I saw this cop come out. And I'm like, oh God, we're gonna get in trouble. And he tore ass to the front.
Yep.
Found the 4-way stop that I didn't know was coming up.
Right.
And stopped traffic and
did.
dared anybody to threaten that whole line.
He did a great job.
He did a great job.
did a
I don't know
great
which
job.
cop that was, but shout out to those guys. That he was on it.
And we've had that happen a few times. I remember there was a Cleveland cop once, and he kind of started wanting to be like, "What the fuck you got? Where's your ride, Captain?" Blah, 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 blah.
That's the quote. The quote was, "Where's your ride,
Where's your
Captain?"
right, Captain?
But fairly quickly, he's like, "All right, well," and then he went.
You know what? Y'all are all right.
Then he blocked an intersection and kind of
Oh,
just
yeah.
like, because you know what you don't do? You don't stop. When you've got
Oh, no.
200 bikes that are just going to go blowing through your jurisdiction, you just let them go.
There
just
was
get them
a-
out of there.
There was exactly one person that I saw the entire ride that threatened the poor guy on the blown up K75 that was blocking traffic. And she was bound and determined to run out in the middle of the pack. And he was bound and determined to make sure that she hit him and got the insurance settlement.
Yeah, and you're right. One of the things that's significant is we decided to take the route on one of Cleveland's most populous thoroughfares, East 55th Street, which is That's tough on a good day.
The double nickel.
The double nickel it's a tough. There's a certain
As many turns, just as dangerous.
there's a certain je ne sais quoi about 55th Street, and there's a lot of I don't care about you. Right. So 55th Street is a lot of it's where urban living and commercial businesses converge. It is the edge of Cleveland's manufacturing zone, the beginning of Cleveland's low-income residential areas, right?
And also that whole abandoned, so like past industrial area too.
Yeah.
That then houses whatever.
It is. And do you know what I thought was kind of interesting about us rolling that road at 60 miles an hour and posted 25s?
Right.
And critical mass is the term I like to use.
Yep.
But we did see a police officer that was coming out, and I didn't really get a chance to see the name of the zone on the door, whether it was Cleveland or RTA or who. But when I saw them pointing at me, and I was the lead dog, and I saw them pointing at me, and I looked at the guy, and I pointed at him with my hand, and I pointed at the cop, and I pointed, and I waved at him, and he put his hand out the window, and instinctively he waved back. And you see what had happened is he fucked up.
Yeah, because now he can't take it
Because he
back.
can't take it back.
You can't take it back. so anybody organizing a ride, this is what you do.
And that's why, what do we always say in our briefings? Every time we ride,
Wave at the intersection.
wave and smile.
Wave and smile.
You know, the
that
people
guy
that-
pulled in and blocked that intersection for us.
I waved at everybody that was stuck.
That neighborhood,
Thanks.
people were happy to see it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Smile and
everybody
wave,
that
boys.
had to
Smile
stop
and
wait
wave.
for us was like, we just had these big grins on their face.
You're
and we're
absolutely
waving
right.
back.
You're
yeah.
absolutely
You know why?
right.
Because they're like, look at these silly ass white people. They're wearing ties on little tiny motorcycles.
Oh man, normally when we take over a street, we just burn up the Challenger.
71st Street gets a little sketch. But then what's very funny, what I like about 71st Street though, is before it gets to Canal, it becomes this quaint neighborhood again.
Yeah.
It becomes this neighborhood of manicured lawns and brick homes that were built 100 years ago to support factory managers and things like that that could goddamn well walk to work in the morning. And I think it's funny to watch that transition because we did get to see that. We got to see, this is not so great. And then it went to, this is pretty goddamn great.
And you know what's neat about that too is there's little pockets like that all over Cleveland where people like neighborhoods got together and like it all starts with like 2 or 3 people that have been there for like 50 years and they won't give up. Like they're like, I'm keeping my yard nice, whatever. And then it just takes a few younger people to move in next to them. And next thing you know, there's like 2 or 3 streets of like really well taken care of people helping each other, all different ethnicities, whatever. But it's like they want to be there and they want to be part of something, trying to create something better. And it's kind of neat to see that, man.
It is. And it does make me feel happy to do that. Like when we kind of go into an area that maybe hasn't seen a parade of 200 motorcycles in a little while, especially not a parade of, there's nobody in the DGR that's trying to be intimidating.
No.
It's usually tweed and
There's no get back.
No, there's no get back.
There's-
If anybody can find, by the way, if you're looking at a thumb powered device and you can find that WDW news clip, I can't find it, but I'd like to play it so people could see it. We'll figure out a way to make that happen. But that's great. We love that. We love the volunteerism, the people that offer to help. I do the pre-ride briefing and I ask the people who would like to be bastions of safety, shit hot fucking death riders of the future. I ask people that want to help out to always come over. And we always do it just before we do the brief, the main brief. And I do it in an open format so that anybody who can hear the sound of my voice, and that's a lot of people, I do the rules, and the rules are very simple. Don't be an asshole. Don't be a dickhead. Wave and smile. And it is very funny as we proceed in. The first 15 minutes of the ride, there will be 1 or 2 or 3 dedicated blockers that have said, Bill Murrar, at the briefing, I'm going to block. I'm going, and he had an MZ Scorpion, right? An MZ Scorpion. That, like he said, he bought it from a guy that lost all the original fasteners and reconnected all the plastic with whatever he had in the garage. He's like, but that's a good bike. Yamaha 600 under there. It's a good machine. And Bill's a fucking talented rider. And he's got the yellow perforated Joe Rocket on. And Bill's a paramedic of the highest order. He's the guy you want to show up if you're fucked up.
He's had seminars on what to do in a motorcycle crash.
Yeah.
For us, he hosted our group. Remember years ago, we did a scooter only advanced motorcycle class. The first and only one that was ever run in the state of Ohio, which was he put on. He organized it. So we could have our people who are riding scooters get the benefit of taking a motorcycle safety foundation class, which normally is kind of exclusionary, keeping fucking scooters out. And we know that we've had people, my customers, that have gone to the guys who run that course and called the state and said, I don't think I'm ever going to shift gears, ever. But I've got a 170cc Buddy scooter, or I've got a 250cc Vespa scooter. I would like to take the course on my own ride. I'd like to bring my own ride, which people who work in that know that that is a thing you're allowed to do. And actually, it takes a lot of stress off the instructors if I don't have to teach all 24 people in the class how to shift. If there's 4 people in the class that are on automatics, I don't need to teach them how to shift. Those people can learn about riding instead of wheeling and stalling, right? So you'd think I would encourage that, but it has been the exact opposite. We've had our customers contact the state and have the state tell them, no, you cannot bring your own scooter. Well, that's a dick thing to do, especially when people who know the rules know that those aren't the rules. But Bill went out of his way to not only put that together for us, but then to go to the state and campaign for a scooter program where we had gotten Genuine to provide us with a half a dozen or a dozen scooters, and they were all black cats. We had a fleet of black cats that all went to the ownership of the State of Ohio Motorcycle Safety Foundation, and people got to learn how to ride on those things and got to get all the skills training and everything else that somebody else would get on a TW, 200, or not a TW 200, but
Rebel 250s,
Rebels and
Nighthawks.
yes, right, and GZ 250s and whatever. But how much better for somebody who's never going to shift one gear in their goddamn life to ride the bike that they're going to be riding, right? Right. When you go to take your car test, they don't make you take it in a stick shift car. They don't say that's nice. You showed up in the in your Hyundai automatic. Here's a Jeep 5-speed that you have to take the course in. So if they'll do that for cars, why the fuck won't they do it for motorcycles? But anyhow, I digress. Bill's a great guy to have running intersections for you. He's also not reckless. He's a fucking surgical skilled driver. So having him run intersections was...
I think he had a national championship at one time.
Yeah, he did. And but he's also a good guy. So we like Bill, and Bill ran out, and Bill did legit blocking.
Do we know the name of the guy on the Beamer?
We don't. On the K100?
Oh, yeah.
I like to call him Captain Caveman.
Dude, for ages, Dan and I were in the back.
Yeah.
And we were blocking, we would run up as fast as you can. It's what you do. You run up as fast as you can.
If you haven't figured out that's the most fun part of the DGR.
Oh, yeah. And you block.
Yep.
And then everybody goes through. Yep. And then you're like, all right, cool. And you catch up and you blow past everybody again. Yeah. And dude on the K started doing this. He saw us doing it and he was just like, no, I'm it. This is the game. This is what I want to do. And he was just blowing past everybody. And after a while, I was like, you know what? I am hanging back.
You don't need to. You don't need to work.
Do that. I have done this for 20 years.
Working.
I don't need to do this.
He was ready.
And he was working.
And every K I've ever seen that's been like, I made it into a cafe racer.
Oh, yeah.
They leave the fairing on the front and everything on the back, it's fallen off.
Yeah.
Right? This was the opposite.
Oh, no.
He did not have a front. No, did not have a front.
The tank
His front was all wrong. The headlight was wrong. It had an MGO headlight on it.
Well, that's the thing. So this dude, he's somehow...
Oh, and he was in a goddamn t-shirt.
Oh, yeah.
He was in a t-shirt. Somehow he had a lit cigarette the entire time hanging out of his mouth.
He was like hot swapping cigarettes.
Yeah, somehow. Yeah. But the crazy part was I was kind of helping for a minute, and I'm like, this guy's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
And then I kind of made it my way up, and that's when I was kind of behind you for a minute. And then he comes up and his shirt blows up, and he was ready for Afghanistan.
Oh, he had a big old pistol.
That thing, he had a pistol, a knife, a fucking hammer.
I'm not kidding. There was a lady in the Toyota. I think it was a Toyota Sienna minivan. Yeah. We were in the middle of nowhere. Yeah. She pulls out of a Go-Mart or whatever y'all call them up here.
Yeah.
And she is pulling it, and she is not giving room. She is pushing, she is pushing, she is pushing. And he is buried in her freaking bumper, just threatening her to get out of the car.
Yep.
And I'm like, I am getting through this as fast as I can.
It was his true lack of fucks.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He had none.
Oh, yeah.
He'd pull up next to me, like at the two lights I stopped at, the truly dangerous intersection.
Oh, yeah.
He'd pull up next to me and he'd look over. And I just give that whole like, fuck it, I love you, man. You know? And I just do that. And he just give this like 3 cents worth of a smile. Not a whole smile. He wasn't going to give it to a whole smile. He just give me a little bit of a like, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, why'd we stop? And I'm like, because there's 93 cars already using this intersection. Because I don't want to have a 93 car pileup.
Like you didn't hit the light
with
green.
200 bikes.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And it's we're crossing a 4-lane, you know?
No,
it's
it's-
like,
it's
I think we're going to be
We had
on
a
this
red.
one.
Like it wasn't like it was green.
No,
we
no,
just
right.
kept going.
Right.
He wanted to roll the red.
He wanted all of it.
Yeah.
He wanted all of it, and he thought he could stop 4 lanes of traffic and the streetcars. Yeah. He was in it to win it. So I was like, yes, that guy's such a rock star. Again, need your name because you were my hero.
Yeah.
And it was super fun.
It was hard. That
Just
thing
real
was
quick.
seen some shit.
There's something we could talk about,
Yeah.
but we should take a quick intermission before we do.
Oh.
Let's all go to the lobby.
All right. All right.
Okay.
Very good. Anyway, so that was again a very distinguished gentleman's ride again, or as it said, I've never done a slow ride.
Right.
Anybody who's ever ridden with me knows that we do these rides for a sense of purpose. And also you'll know that if once we get to the halfway point, I will judge the spirit of the group.
Right.
And if the spirit of the group is strong, we will go into the metro parks and we'll do some, metro parking things. If the spirit of the group looks thirsty, we are going to go to Porco. And if you chartered a helicopter, you couldn't have gotten to Porco faster than we got to Porco.
Yeah, no, we did good.
We did good. I'm so happy with the way we got to Porco because we got in style. And I kept looking back going, these fuckers are not dropping out.
No, everyone's there.
Oh, no,
Everybody.
we were on it.
Everybody was in it. I did block going on to Pearl because I figured that's a big one.
Yep.
I got to block four lanes of traffic. I'll go out into Pearl. And so I got to experience something I didn't experience was the whole ride. I got to see everybody, or what was left after County Line. And it was fun to see all that. And it was fun to see Dave Christensen on something other than a Vespa because he got himself a drifter. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So he got himself a drifter and he was the tail gunner.
It says Rift.
Yeah.
Is that what it says, right?
I think so. He's the tail gunner. So you could see him coming.
Yeah.
So you'd see him come. I'd see him coming. I'd be like, all right, cool, man. This is it. That is the end of the wagon. And as soon as him went by me, I was like, all right, light speed. And I got to go light speed down West 25th Street. And I was having so much fun. And then the whole group got a little clogged up by the zoo.
Yeah.
And that was when everybody that was like, hey, look, we've got 2 whole lanes.
Yeah.
They realized they were about to have 1 lane.
Yeah.
And man, I chose the wrong part of the Star Wars trench run.
Yeah.
I got squeezed
I was
up
by
against
you.
the curb hard.
Yeah. That was.
I have never been, that Vespa doesn't have ABS. And it doesn't have any rear tire left. I made sure of that. But I slid that both wheel, front and rear skid, just a controlled Evel Knievel slide. Yeah. And I was like, oh, and there was the girl in front of me who forgot half her shirt.
That's Paula.
I slid I was like, I was at the point where I was like, I'm going in. and fortunately the bike was like, I was like control threshold braking and I was like, slide, no control threshold braking, slide, nope, control threshold braking. And I got slowed down enough and I looked over my shoulder and I saw a little hole and I was just like, boink. And I went 3 bikes over, got back in the passing lane, left to center and scooched out and got my shit back together again. But I was, for a second, I was like, this is what it feels like before you hit somebody.
Yeah. Well, and both of you, so you're tired. So I'm sitting there when everybody went down the street to line up to actually leave.
Yeah.
Everybody lines up, and I hear "Vaw, vaw, 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 vaw," and then you hear it stop, and I just hear and you look and it's John, and he's laughing with a big cloud of smoke. Piling up. Yeah, I know.
We like a good smoky burnout.
Ryan was coming down the road with a camera filming everything. Like, we gotta light this up. I mean, come on.
Yep. Yeah,
I had a little pucker moment. I was there. We were there. There was kind of they opened
first
up.
tell the class what you were riding.
I was riding my 1976 excuse me,
Yeah.
67.
Yeah.
Honda Super Hawk.
Yep.
305.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was running great.
It was running
That
great.
sounded rowdy, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little oil change and loving it a little bit. It really responded nice, but there was a little gap in the thing, and I'm like, you know what? I want to get a little.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm gonna pass. I'm gonna pass a few people, and then I'm gonna take. Well, by the time I got past everybody, that gap had like closed up because everybody up there had slowed down for some reason. And just as I was like kind of coming in, and I was gonna, a guy kind of decided to go to the right.
Yeah.
And I was like, I stood on it pretty good, but that has great brakes. So, it was like,
Great. I love that.
He was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm like, no, don't worry.
That bike has great brakes.
You'd be surprised. I mean,
Said nobody ever.
the front brake, I mean,
Yeah, I get that.
it's not bad.
I get that.
For
Yeah.
1967.
Yeah. For 1967. I totally agree. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. Oh, John, did you have something you wanted to bring us back to?
We should talk about it a little bit off air before we talk about it.
Okay. All right. Very good.
Well, I can tell you about my new amazing idea and get your guys' opinion.
Please do. Oh, God.
So I'm working on my friend's bike right now.
Yes.
And he, very nice cafe build, but might have been sitting around for a few years with some real thirsty methanol gas inside of it.
Yeah.
So I'm going through the tank. I'm derusting it with
Yeah.
all the different rust juice from Harbor Freight, our favorite place to get it. So, I've been slowly turning it, and I put a whole bunch of screws and nuts in it, and I'm turning it and doing it and turning it. It's like, it'd be kind of nice if I had like a rock tumbler, but I don't have anything like that. Mm-hmm. But I did have a used tire and an old mattress thing, like pillow mattress. So I was able to put the gas tank, wrap the mattress around it, and shove it into the middle of the tire. And then I can just push it back and forth on the driveway, and it rolls all the stuff.
That's pretty cool.
Right? And it's de-rusting the inside of the tank.
Well, that's fantastic.
I'm not scratching the paint. Everything's protected, and it's just rolling down the driveway back and forth.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Wait. Don't you have a Great Dane?
Yeah. Oh,
Now
yeah.
you need something where you can put it
Great
through the
Dane
middle
toy.
and you can roll it behind the dog as they run and chase.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
It's working. It seems like it's working pretty well. So if you got an old tire and some kind of pillows.
Nylon rope on that thing and a nylabone at the other end. Let the dog just drag it around the yard.
So I think that might go end over a little bit.
Yes.
Is that not the kind of cleaning action you're looking for?
Right?
Less
You're
denty.
not going to get more agitated
What I'm
than a
doing-
Great Dane playing with a
So
toy.
what I have going on is a little less denty.
We did a contraption like that for a Super Hawk tank the one time, and had a little electric, geared down motor and strapped it to a board, and it was mildly
You
effective.
know what that thing was actually a display, a window display. So it was a window display that one of our guys, Jim Lanza, who was our guy upstairs, he built a display to have like a mannequin on and have the mannequin rotating.
Okay.
And what we just did was we put it 90 degrees up and it worked fine. And we built a little ledge on it. You use the hide-on strap, put the motorcycle tank on it, fill it full of chemicals, fill it full of hardware.
Well, that's what we didn't do right. We should have used more of a chemical. We were just trying. We had some, maybe just water or something.
No, we put muriatic acid in it.
Did we?
Yeah, we had muriatic acid.
I've also heard that
Yeah.
roofing nails are the preferred thing because they have the hard edges on them, and they're pointy. And
Are they magnetic?
I don't. Oh, you had to get them out.
Because you got to get them out, man.
Yeah, it's a lot of shaking. to get all that
Galvanized
bullshit out.
steel, copper.
I don't think they're magnetic. I
yeah.
don't think they're ferrous.
With my luck, though, if the magnet would be too strong, I'd put it in the hole and they wouldn't be able to
You
get
can't
it.
come back out again?
See, I like to use stainless steel chain.
Yeah.
That's a good idea because then
Yeah.
you can pull
It
it
all
right
comes
out.
out.
Yeah.
One link out, they all
Brilliant
come out.
idea.
Yeah.
I have had customers explain to me in great detail about how they took the gas tank, they wrapped it in an old sleeping bag. Mm-hmm. Right? They put their various chemical mix in it or what have you. They wrapped it in a sleeping bag and they put it in the dryer.
Because you got heat to
Yeah.
activate the rust stuff.
You might want to
got
just do
the spin.
fluff.
I'm going to tell you, I've never heard one of these stories that started that ended well.
Yeah, I was going to say, it couldn't be the one that you're still going to use with your family. Like if you have one that you're throwing out.
So I've heard the
but,
story where the gas tank, being a gas tank, destroyed the inside of the tumble dryer.
Don't tell my
I've
wife.
heard the story where the gas tank, being a gas tank, fought its way out of the sleeping bag and the duct tape
Yeah.
to just be in there with the sleeping bag on that side of the dryer and the gas tank on this side of the dryer,
Getting
doing
empty.
irreparable damage to the gas tank.
Yeah.
And my favorite one was where the seal on the gas tank was as good as we all know seals on gas tanks are, which is they're not.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
And they didn't go to any extra effort to bung the fuck out of it.
Right.
And all the chemicals caught the dryer on fire.
I say a gas dryer would not be good.
No, it was an electric dryer.
New
But it
tip,
still
wouldn't matter.
caught on fire, and they could not put it out.
Oh dear.
New tip. You just hit me with it.
Yeah.
So you know what? Sometimes with the older gas tanks, they have the rubber gasket and they're brittle and they're dead and they're hard to find, right? Guess what works? So if you have dirt bike grips, the inside, the rubber thing, you can cut those out, and those are they're what do you call it? Gasophobic or whatever you want to call it. Like they don't suck it in.
Cool.
So I've made a whole one, sealed the K100 tank.
Really?
And everything with the
Oh, that's
grips
cool,
in it.
man.
Yeah.
That's very good. Yeah, it's stuff like that. If you're going to use Metal Rescue, and we like Metal Rescue, we're fans of Metal Rescue around here. Keep in mind that for every degree it is under 80 degrees in the Metal Rescue, it will take you a year longer to work.
Right.
So if your Metal Rescue is 79 degrees, it will take you a year to derustify whatever you're trying to derustify. So for those of us who live in that part of the planet, you can't really use your Metal Rescue until it's proper fucking hot out.
I have an IR heater. I
But
put an IR heater on.
well, I was going to say for $30 on Amazon, you can buy an immersion heater
Oh yeah.
that they can use for farms to keep the animals.
So you can sous
water
vide.
free.
You can sous vide your gas tank.
That's exactly right. Sous vide your gas tank because, but that using the farm and fleet approach for an immersion heater works absolutely fine for whatever, because we've got a couple of gas tanks we have to do at the shop, and we're going to use that technique.
I use the sun in the front yard.
Yep.
Now,
If it's warm enough.
Now, failing this, if this doesn't work, we are going to go to the electrolysis method.
We've done that. So actually, we've done. Ryan Foltz had devised an electrolysis method at the shop, and I would say that it was less than effective. I was not impressed.
We saw Harris developed a really good tank down in New Orleans that with a whole system that works really, really well. But then you immediately use the Caswell system right afterwards.
Right.
Because if you don't, well, in New Orleans, it immediately is going to rust again.
Caswell is a cruel mistress because it does exactly what it advertises. Yes, I have seen the videos and I have been to the trade shows where they have a gas tank that has 38 caliber holes in it, and they Caswell it and it holds gas. Because Caswell is beautiful epoxy that will block everything. Unfortunately, if your gas tank has any crossovers or any vents, especially vents that are inside the gas tank that you can't plug off, you can really fuck yourself.
That's always the tricky point. We ran into that with a bunch of like Triumph tanks have dual little weird fighting gas tanks inside of it. You have to do everything in your power to hold those through.
When we have a customer bring a bike in and the bike is like, it runs for 10 minutes and then it shuts off. Open the gas tank, look inside. Oh, look, it's got cream or it's got red coat or it's got Caswell, whatever. And you're like, okay, well, I have a question for you. When you did this system, how did you block the pressure, the relief hose, the relief tube inside? How did you block the crossover tubes? And they're like, oh, I just put caps on from the outside. Well, no, those tubes are now full of the product. And I don't know if you ever tried to drill around a corner, but you can't drill around the corner.
Drill around the corner.
Right. And red coat and Caswell, at least, you can't really drill through it. The shit's fucking impervious.
But the good thing about red coat is you give it 5 minutes in gasoline, it'll actually just eat it off anyway.
Well, and I think we all learned at the shop, cream is horrible, the worst thing on the planet. And cream kits should just be illegal. Because unless you're using them on metal that has never seen a petroleum product, there is no prep that we've ever found that is adequate.
It's like pouring Elmer's glue instead of a gas tank.
It is. It is. It has all of the durability of paper mache. It's not going to be there for you for a very long time. And the sad thing is, a lot of home gamers are like, oh, I read the thing and it looks like it's pretty environmentally friendly. And no, that's not what you need.
No. You want the stuff that's dangerous for the environment and probably causes cancer in 17 different...
I'm pretty happy with my method.
Your method is probably the best method.
Milk stone remover.
Stone remover.
Oh, yeah.
Which is a nice way of saying muriatic acid.
It's
muriatic acid.
Wait a minute, that's
53%.
just phosphoric acid, right?
53%.
That's the main thing in evaporust.
Yes, it is.
I think the intensity in milk stone remover is quite more. Though.
It's probably way cheaper too.
It's 12. It was $12 a gallon.
$12 a gallon at any farm and fleet,
Tractor
tractor supply store.
mean-
It's virtually available anywhere. They ship it.
You can
overnight.
mix it from 1 to 8 or 1 to 12 with water.
I mean, I'm not gonna say
And your
this, but
pipes afterwards will be spotlessly clean.
I have used
about-
MEK before, but you don't want to do that.
No, it doesn't affect paint.
That's the trick.
I mean, you don't get any.
Yeah.
Also
Milkstone.
used in breweries to sanitize equipment.
That's the magic of the Milkstone remover. It is, to me, it is a far better product. I don't know about the temperature.
I've never heated it at all.
I've never done
I
anything.
do a rinse
with it.
out with hot water.
Yeah.
But I do like to degrease the tank really well with some purple power degreaser.
Yeah.
Just to try to get that broken the surface. So you're just, you don't have any petroleum products blocking the acid from wetting in. But 24 hours, you got to block aluminum. It'll eat a petcock pretty bad.
That's what I wanted to bring up.
Yeah, do not. You want to.
No.
Anything alloy, even the hinge on the gas cap, it's gone.
Yep.
Do not leave your factory gas cap. It's fucking gone.
Yep.
Let's be careful with that. And we have a customer, God love her, but her husband went to heroic means a year ago to clean her gas tank in her bike. And I mean, beautiful, chef's kiss, well done, shiny, perfect metal inside. However, October showed up, November showed up, and the bike got parked. And the bike got parked with about 2 inches of gas in the bottom of it.
Yeah, that's not good.
And it was pumped gas with ethanol,
Yep.
which means the inside of that gas tank is rusty from the low water mark or the low gas tank mark. I guess I should say low water mark. Honestly.
Low water mark?
Let's be honest.
Low water mark.
From the low water mark to the top of the gas tank is now an exercise in rust, meaning you run your finger inside the gas tank and it just comes out coated. It is. There's no number like John was talking about pre-filters the other day. We were talking about fuel filters.
Yeah, two.
multiple fuel filters of different viscosities, and the okay filter and the I gotcha filter. And but I had this conversation with her on the phone today, and I didn't realize, and she said this, her words, why didn't anybody tell me that? Because you're not a ClevelandMoto podcast listener. And they're not going to print this shit on the gas pumps.
That is one of the benefits of the Milkstones. If you leave it in longer, like I usually don't go for this. I like to have the sandblasted look inside, and it does take some agitation. It's going to release the rust, but a lot of times you look in and you're like, But then you shake the shit out of it, and it all flakes off, and you're like, holy fuck, it's bare metal now.
It is, yeah.
If you leave it in longer, it will do a phosphorus oxide.
Yep.
So it'll turn black, and that's like a diamond-like coating.
When you see the black, the job is done with the Milkstone remover.
Yep.
When you see that black, and it's the same way too if you're using Metal Rescue. When you see the black color, don't try to take the black color off. It's actually there to help you. So when you're working with Metal Rescue, when you're working with phosphoric acid, when you're working with Milkstone, and you see the black, your parts are like, they look like somebody like dirty oiled them. Don't fuck with that. That's actually, isn't that black oxide coating at that point?
Yeah, it's phosphorus oxide.
Yeah.
Like same thing.
Good for us.
It's like a diamond.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Right. So
But also, so the tip for drying your tank out, because you usually are going to have to use water to rinse it out and stuff like that.
yeah, give it one run.
A bottle of alcohol, rubbing alcohol. So that just
Get the 70% or hotter.
Yeah.
And then put that in and shake it around, and that will.
that dries it out really. It'll help keep it from flash rusting. And then I usually use a little bit of 2-stroke mix in there after it's good and dried, and then shake that around, and it gives it a little film of oil.
WD-40. That one.
All I can think
That's
of,
the same thing I do.
all I can think about is the force fans we used to use in New Orleans just to keep things dry, try to get things to
Well,
dry
I
out
mean,
because
you're-
100% humidity.
Yeah, when you're in a jungle. So.
Oh yeah.
Welcome to the jungle.
I mean, we literally had this giant forced squirrel fan
Yeah.
down into a plumbing hose that had been like worm clamped together down into this funnel.
You were in Vietnam. Yeah, I mean that's what it is, man.
You could use a heat gun, but be careful.
Oh no! We found that didn't work so well.
Heat gun can burn your paint off.
It wasn't.
It can ignite things.
No.
Like
The contraptions
blow dryer
that we
might be
used
better.
to keep every. Oh no! This was literally.
I feel like introducing a source of electricity, heated coils, anywhere there was gasoline vapor used to be.
That's not a great idea.
I triple.
You have to immerse it in water.
I triple washed
first.
a 55-gallon drum that used to have oil in it. Triple washed it, like soapy water, 3 times. Let it soak.
Yep.
Dumped everything out of it. Fired up my oxyacetylene torch.
Nope.
Cut a hole in it. I got about a half a hole, and then I had a metal pumpkin.
Whoosh.
It was pretty spectacular.
Yep.
And there was no warning because, you make the first cut and you make the first cut right by the hole because you're like, there's a hole already. So anything that's going to happen bad is going to either come in or out of that hole. No. When things get right, when the air fuel mixture gets that stoichiometric mix and it's just perfect, and all the air inside that 55-gallon drum decides it wants to be fuel.
Yeah.
And then the oil that was coating the inside of that 55-gallon drum decides it wants to help.
Yep.
And it just turns that perfect corner. That 55-gallon drum did not, and I will say, it did not blow out a seal. It did not turn into shrapnel and rip me in half and
You didn't
kill
blow
me.
a seal?
Yep.
Just ice cream.
Oh no, sir, it's just ice cream.
But it did make it into a very strange oblong pumpkin.
Yep.
And when it was,
I got a few extra gallons of capacity out of that.
but when it was all said and done, the guy that was, my boss came out into the yard after he heard the noise, and he came running out and he's like, "What the fuck was that?" Because we worked with thousands of gallons of, you said MEK,
Oh,
Mickey,
yeah.
and toluene and everything else. And my boss was so tight, and maybe he was environmentally friendly, but he was tight, that he had a machine that you could put old thinner in, and it would recycle your old thinner.
Wow.
So you'd put paint-filled thinner in, and it was basically a still, and you'd like what do they call those? A compression oven, right?
Yeah.
And you had to screw the top on, and you turned the heat up on this thing. And about 9 hours later, if you put 5 gallons of dirty thinner in it, you'd get about 3 gallons of clean thinner out, and you'd have paste inside of this thing that you'd like scrape out and get rid of the solids. And, whether environmentally that's the best thing in the world because you're recycling 3 gallons of thinner, and that thinner is not as spicy as it used to be, but you can still use it on the job site for cleaning brushes and stuff. But you're not going to use it to cut paint anymore, but you're going to use it for cleanup. Well, I accidentally blew that thing up one time, and it made a lot of noise too. So when he heard the drum go off,
Oh yeah.
he thought I'd blown up that thing again.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
well,
Blowing shit up
no,
again.
there's a very delicate balance between hot and too hot, right?
yeah.
When you're dealing with thinner. And it turns out that when I blew up that 50-gallon drum, he came running out and he's like, and I explained the situation. He goes, "So who the fuck ever told you that you could cut on a drum that used to have oil in it?" And I said, and I used the term with authority. I triple rinsed it. Because I have bought things in my life that said triple rinsed like it was a selling point, right? I thought it was like when somebody says like dead on balls accurate, and they go, it's an industry term,
It's
whatever.
an industry
From my
term?
cousin Vinny, I thought when triple rinsed meant like you could eat out of it now. Turns out, fuck you, it doesn't mean shit.
No.
Triple rinsed. So anytime you're applying fire or heat to something that used to have gasoline in it, have your fucking will in order.
Allegedly, the hillbilly trick for that is if you have to do something to a gas tank,
Yeah.
you start your car and you put your tailpipe in it.
Yeah.
And it fills it full of inert gas.
No, that's
you can do that.
Carbon monoxide will totally do all that. That's carbon
Or
dioxide.
you
carbon
could
monoxide.
go get some argon or something like that.
The other way to do it. This is the cheaper way to do it.
Yeah.
Is that drum? If you're going to cut it, fill it full of water.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
Well, yeah. You're not thinking about it at the time. The carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide trick actually
Filling it
works
full
too.
of water is actually brilliant.
Fill it full of
Because
water.
it's a drum.
Yeah.
I already filled it full of water 3
Might
times.
become difficult.
I was good
I
at
think
that.
it's going to be hard to cut once you start
I
having
could've
water
filled it-
coming out of it.
No, because you're still going to cut the
I could
metal.
have. I could have filled it full of water one time.
Right.
Yeah.
And started cutting. Think about that. Am I the dumbest person on the planet? I could have filled it full of water one time, started cutting on it, and then, like John says, as you're cutting, the water's coming out.
Yeah.
But it's safe.
Yeah.
I mean, it's,
Because you already made a big enough hole to let the oof
Well,
out.
there's not going to be enough heat to make your disposal or fucking thing happen. No matter what.
Yeah.
Right.
Because you're using flame. You're
And
not
I
using
What were you
electric-
cutting it with? A torch?
Torch,
Putting
oxyacetylene.
torch.
Oxyacetylene.
Is,
I see some
is
problems
Oxy
with
going to be
that.
hot enough? Is the question. Well,
I
no,
don't know.
you're the professional.
Yeah, I don't think you can do that.
I don't know. I'm going to try it next time, though.
Well, no, I
Fuck
actually
sure.
recommend the carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide trick that
I
he's
don't
talking
either
about.
know. You know what? I don't
'Cause
trust
that's
that.
not. No, that's actually not.
I had a
Cars
truck.
are so clean now.
I was going to say, I fill my air mattress up
Well,
in my
yeah.
van with the tailpipe of my van. Think about that.
But no, I have always heard either,
And I've never died.
either sand
Right.
if it's small or water when it's bigger is kind of the trick.
I want one of our podcast listeners to tell us why we're going to die for
I
doing
know.
that next
We're all,
time.
come on, who's
Did you ever see the thing where they had in Sweden they invented the thing that you hook up to your tailpipe as a lift for your
Yes,
car?
I used to have one.
And then they fucking go too far. They wrap
I had one, and it came from J.C. Whitney.
Yeah.
The first
like
ever
everything did?
the first ever internet browsing on the toilet. Right. Was J.C. Whitney catalog.
fuck yeah, it
and I
was.
got like all 8 of them. But I bought the one that had the funnel that you put over your tailpipe.
Yeah.
And that it went to the bag. So I want you to just for a second. My dumbass bought this thing, and I was like, "This is cool." And it's a bag, and it's just garbage, right? It's such a bullshit thing. But I bought it, and at the time, I was driving a '66 Volkswagen Beetle.
Oh, I could lift any of it. A fart could lift it.
No, the '66 Volkswagen Beetle has whistles.
Oh, you're right. The
On the tailpipe.
Oh, yeah. It's like a 1-inch
Tailpipe is the
total.
size of a Trail 90. The funnel they gave me was the size of an elephant cock.
Well,
It was designed for a Buick LeSabre.
I mean, keep
and I
in
looked at
mind-
this funnel, and I looked at my tailpipe, and I looked at the funnel, and I was like, this ain't going to fucking work.
I mean, maxed out a Beetle's what, a 1.6 liter?
Yeah, 40 horsepower, best day, right? And it's got twin tips. So it's like if you put the funnel on one tip, it's all going to go out the other tip. Nothing's going into the funnel, and the funnel's too big for the car. I realized how inadequate I was. I had been cock-shamed by an inflatable jack.
Oh, God.
I looked at this fucking thing and I was like, this is ridiculous. So just a proof of concept, we went to my dad's 75 custom cruiser.
Yeah.
You know, with the 454 and the whole deal, twin pipes. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm going to put it on one of the pipes and we'll put the bag under there. And it
And we'll
turns
lift the
out
Beetle with that.
you just have to always have a friend with a V8. And it did work, and it did. I mean, an old custom cruiser is about the biggest goddamn thing that ever existed. And it lifted it right up like it was no big deal once.
Once.
You know why? Cleveland cars are sharp underneath.
Oh, yeah.
Turns out corrosion ain't rounded. Right. There's stabby shit. So like I put it under there and I was like, look at it. It's lifting great. It's going up like fucking gangbusters. And all of a sudden, and it dropped down again. And I had just cut the top of the bag with like the body seam.
Just like an air mattress at 3 in the morning.
Exactly. Oh man. Oh, that's where my Gerber tool is.
Dude, there was the 1 year, like, I think like my everybody has a mid Ohio year where you just get obliterated.
Obliterated.
I can't talk.
Oh, my poor liver.
Anyways, the worst is waking up in the fucking dead air mattress that's wrapped around you like a
You mean
taco.
the rubber taco?
Yeah, it's fucking 11:30 in the morning in a 194 degree tent.
You're sweating.
Yeah,
In
like
a
you're-
flocked
well, the only-
rubber taco.
The only good part is if you already sweat out your hangover before you woke up, but you're in a pool of filth. Oh, it's so disgusting.
Oh.
It's the worst.
Oh, it hasn't happened to me in a long time, but you know, you'd have that special lady friend in there.
Yeah.
Like, here's the rule of air mattresses. If you didn't spend $100, it's not really fun.
No.
And you do an air mattress at 9 o'clock at night, or, you know, before you go to bed, because you're smart and you're thinking ahead and you're trying to get your tent lined up because, you know, you're a young man and you're hoping to hook up, whatever. You want your tent to be nice. And so you do that inflatable job where you pump that son of a bitch up till it's like 27 PSI. You could bounce a quarter on it to the moon. Yeah. You got that thing all set up. You lay out your double, fucking, I'm going to hook up tonight, your double sleeping bags. and you got those out, and it looks
You got
all
the
cool.
mood lighting
You got
on.
real, honest to God pillows you brought from home
fans
instead of just rolling your
running.
jacket up.
Yeah.
And you're like, man, later on, this is gonna come in handy.
Chicka bow.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
4 o'clock in the morning happens. And you and whatever fucking barely walking upright human that you found to join you back to your tent. And you go and crawl in that fucking tent. And what happened to all the air you put in that sumbitch? Even if it was brand new and you bought it at the camping store on the way to the rally, air shrinks, motherfucker. I'm telling you, you inflate an air mattress to 27 PSI. By 4 in the morning, that thing is 1/2 atmosphere.
Even next, just from the temperature change.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It gets colder, and the air
How hard would
molecules.
it be to have like an air
leach out.
regulated little compressor built in, like the air?
Remember when I told you under $100?
But battery operated.
Well, that's
That's what I did. I had my aero bed
I'll
in
go
my
on
tent
record as
hooked
saying
up
is
to
it
the little
doesn't
battery
matter
bank.
if it's over $100.
That's what I did last year.
Oh, didn't you just have to hit the button and but why doesn't it fill itself up automatically?
does.
Oh, well, what's the
Oh
problem?
wait, hold on.
No problem
Wait.
for me. I
No,
was
no.
doing it a couple years ago.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Thank you. I was going to tell you.
I was saying.
He fixed the problem with money.
Yeah.
Right.
I was going to say $150 air mattress doesn't fix itself either, but this
Well, I
is.
fixed the problem with $1,500 worth of RV.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
Like fucking 10
went
years
hard,
ago.
yeah.
I fixed the problem by sleeping in the back of my Honda Element.
I fixed the problem many times with packaging tape and duct tape
Right?
and the little repair kit that comes with it.
I
that
put-
didn't fix the
I put
problem.
a- I
It turns
put a-
out money fixed the problem pretty good.
I put a Serta in the back of my Honda. I was fine.
Yeah, it's true.
I
Yeah.
like a cot is also not a bad thing. I mean,
No, you're right.
it's way more comfortable than the ground, and
Oh,
it
yeah.
doesn't deflate, and it gets you off the ground.
Right.
And
Yeah.
a cot with a sleeping bag on, it's fairly comfortable.
Yeah, but
I
I
might do that this year. That's a good idea.
yeah, but I
man.
roll in my sleep like a fucking Poseidon.
You get
so
a bigger cot. They
Just
have
make sure you have a nylon sleeping bag so you can just be like,
you guys have seen my sleeping
surfing.
arrangement. It's called a 4D350
Yeah.
with a real honest to God mattress in the back of it every single time. Yep, it works great, and that's how I sleep. And I haven't slept on the
Or
ground
Willie
in a tent
Nelson's
like a
tour
savage.
bus, one or
Right.
the other.
Or the other, right. That wasn't a bad way to go either.
No, that was not bad.
Honestly, I threw money at the problem.
I remember. I remember you guys went off somewhere, and I was not in the condition to go anywhere.
Yo, you're in bad shape.
Yeah, so I just sat on the patio,
On the veranda.
on the veranda, on the back of the thing,
An
just watching the
elevated-
peasants drive by as I enjoyed it on the cocktail.
Turning up the air conditioner that blows out onto you. I thought it was funny that thing had a garage and a bedroom above the garage.
Above the garage with a motorcycle wash.
Yes. It's the fucking weirdest goddamn thing ever. Again, thank you, Thor.
Yeah.
The anal Thor outlaw. Or the Thor anal outlaw, depending on how you want to word it.
Oh, dude.
So fucking funny. It was.
I found a folder on one of my hard drives called cell phone, right?
Yo.
And so like it had like a million things. So I was going through and I found all these younger pictures of my kids and stuff.
Oh, wow, cool.
And then I found a couple of recordings of us on that bus. Like you were telling a joke or something.
Oh,
and John
really?
was laughing and making cocktails. It's a fucking.
That's a good
it's
run. That's a
amazing.
good run, man. Yeah.
it was good.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I don't ever do a thing where I'm camping and I'm like, oh man, I really wish I was in a tent. I've never said that. I wish I was in a tent right now.
Right.
And I mean, I've been in the back of Ford Aerostars. I've been in the back of Toyota Siennas. I've been in the back of Honda Civic Wagovan.
Yeah.
And I never said I wish I was in a tent. Not once.
Mid Ohio is just not a great place to be in a tent. I mean, unless you're buried. Like, I just don't. I like having hard sides. I'd rather sleep in the back of my car.
The weather, the way it changes so much, it does. I always spend money on fixing tents that broke the year before.
Oh yeah.
I still have to get a couple of arms for my Easy Up this year.
Yeah, we had an episode last year.
Yep.
Yeah, I got the kit like you did that turns your Easy Up into a 6-man tent.
Yeah.
The like Easy Up liner business. The Cube. I got one of those. That's pretty badass.
Yeah.
That thing works. And then just having Dan Kromke's trailer for the Misfits, because they're from California. They're soft. And like, they don't really know how to do that. So we provide them with the house.
Yeah.
And like, here's the house. There's the cots. You decorate it as you want. I think this year, though, we do have to take a little bit of pride in that. I think we need to put
Liza's not
posters
soft.
up inside.
Yeah.
I think we got to decorate. I think we need a little art in there, right?
Oh no, you're talking about the Easy Up thing, right?
No, we were actually talking about the inside of the dance
No, we
trailer.
were not talking about pop-up apocalypse.
Oh no, I've actually.
This is another one. That's solid gold. I can't even say it.
Pop-up apocalypse.
Pop up.
No, but you didn't
He
say
said
that.
pop-up apocalypse.
Yes, he did.
Yeah,
Which
he
is
did
a
say
whole other
pocket-
thing.
Yeah, no, this is
Which I
that's
like.
a thing.
I like where that one's going too.
I mean, I was going to talk about the easy up camping queue, but you've got something here that we need to expound upon.
Well, we've talked about this a few times on the
The FEMA
podcast.
camp.
Yeah, it was.
Our FEMA camp is solid.
FEMA camp.
I mean, there's rugs involved, and
Does the
hey, did you guys see I sent you guys the updated foldable, storable, easily assemblable Nada ramp.
I saw that.
We got to get that.
No, we don't. We just need to have not a ramp.
Oh, but this would be so much
Do we still have the board?
I don't know.
We can always make a new one.
We'll make another one. I
easier.
have
All right,
spray
but
paint.
We can't slack on Nada ramp.
We gotta, yeah. But I think the thing you showed us is so. We're gonna break that.
It's hard to call it not a ramp.
I mean, and we're gonna break
It's a
that.
packaging material that happens to be assembled in the shape of a ramp.
Right, exactly. That's something. Right. Yeah. I just can't help but think it's gonna get broken. You know, that's the only thing I'm worried about.
We'll just roll with normal Nada ramp.
God forbid, we'll just do a piece of wood like we've done in the past, and then we'll add fire as the night moves on, and it'll just get better and better and better and better and better.
Yes.
Because that's really all it takes at Mid Ohio is ambition.
Ambition and
That's
fire.
all it takes. A little bit of fire, a lot of ambition, a little bit of fire. And then as the night goes on, a little more fire, and a little more fire, and a little more fire.
And fireworks.
And then boom, and then things get really special. Right. I think that's my favorite thing. And that is there's no question. I find myself, now that DGR is over and my responsibilities are done, I find myself looking forward to Mid-Ohio with a new level of ferocity.
Well, you start your conniving and
I am.
planning and all that kind of stuff. Like,
Yeah.
what do I have to get done between now and Mid-Ohio?
Yeah. And I'm looking through my garage and going, oh, that's going to Mid-Ohio. And then I'm like, oh, that's definitely going to Mid-Ohio.
Renee and
Yeah.
I both go through the
Yeah.
back of the shop and we're like, this is going to Mid-Ohio.
Oh, we're going to have to order like a double stack of Post-it notes.
Oh, yeah.
Like the Queen's ransom of Post-it notes, just for like a special color of Post-it note, just going to Mid-Ohio.
So,
Yeah. Yep. That's what it's going to be.
I need Renee to make me a shirt that says, I'm only 16 for my daughter.
Oh, for your dog.
I was going to say, you were going to be really... I was going to say,
But
you...
then I was thinking it should be like, I'm only 16.
Yeah.
Like that.
we were going to say, it's going to look
16
really weird
will
on
get you
you.
20. That's all you got. 16 will get you 20.
Dude, simply put, Bourbon Fairy's daughter. Nobody's
Nobody's going to fuck around. That's right. That is it.
Oh.
Yeah. Hey, sweetheart, how you doing? What's your shirt say? Oh, never mind.
Never mind.
Never mind. Yeah,
wanted to make sure you're okay. You
Your
need
dad's a hell of a guy.
anything?
Dad's a hell of a guy. Yeah, that's great. That's cool because they're either scared or fucking hoping, right? You know, they like don't want to piss off the Bourbon Fairy.
Dude,
It's really hard to explain getting your ass kicked by a guy in a tutu with a squirt gun.
we had one guy last year that like was trying to step up and he was just too Southern Ohio to be down with any kind of fairyisms, right?
He did not find our particular sense of humor to be
He
up his alley.
definitely he shot cases of Bud Light in the last few weeks. I guarantee you. That's this guy, right? But the best part was like he was like, I ain't taking a drink from no fruit, and John goes, I'm not a fruit, I'm the Bourbon Fairy. And at that point, the guy was just like, fuck it.
You broke him. You just fucking broke him. Yeah. The guy's like, you know what?
Make all your bourbon dreams come true.
I was like, okay. I've gone to the hospital for dumb shit. And I've had to explain to doctors how things happen to me. And I don't ever want to say, well, there's this guy. He's about 6'4".
He's literally a mountain of a man.
And he's are you familiar with the term Bourbon Fairy? And I was like, you're going to end up in like the American Journal of Medicine or something. There's got to be like the back pages, like Beaver Hunt and Hustler. There's got to be like a special section, Penthouse Letters. The American Journal of Medicine must have a special section for just like weird stuff up your butt. And this is how I ended up in the ER.
How did you get a Harbor Freight garden sprayer up your ass?
I totally agree, man. God
damn.
I just and
what the hell is it in? It smells like bourbon.
Right. So they taught us in medical school. They taught us about college kids keystering liquor. We'd never quite seen the apparatus installed. And the amazing thing is the strap. You got the strap in there. Right. And it still pumps. It still pumps. It's still functional.
I'm angry at Bud Light, but not because of any of that.
Yeah.
It's because it tastes like piss?
Well, they did me a free beer tomorrow thing.
Oh.
Where my brother-in-law
mean?
sent me an ad that said, they had Bud Light was $7.49 a 24 pack.
Oh my
At
goodness.
Meijer. So
Okay.
I'm like, okay, I'm going to go there.
Right.
Well, it's $7.49. After you buy the first case, they will you submit your receipt, and they will then email you an authorization code to submit a rebate on your next case of beer. I'm like, oh fuck!
Oh, you got to
This
jump
is-
through the hoops.
This is like 20 fucking layers of hoop. I'm just like,
So you know who else is famous for that shit? And I think they might be in cahoots.
That's a good word.
Right? Yeah. Famous, it's a great word. No, it's fucking Menards. Like, Menards is some bullshit.
Yeah,
I just want to buy something. I don't want to get involved in a fucking chain letter with you.
Yep.
I just want to buy some shit. I don't want to walk in there and be like, oh yeah, sure. We got drywall here for $18 a sheet. And I go in and I'm like, yeah, I'll need probably 7 or 8 sheets of drywall. And I go in there and they're like, well, that's after the mail-in rebate. I'm like, mail?
Yeah. We do
And
not
then
need to bring
and then
paper
we're
into
gonna
this.
and we're gonna mail you 4 sheets of drywall, like all this other weird rules they have about it. Yes. And I'm like, why do I even want to come into this fucking store?
Or you can't just like a lot of the stuff you have to talk to somebody. Like you can't just grab a door. You got to talk to
they
the
have
door guy.
their whole lumberyard is out back.
I know.
Yeah.
And you have to pay, and they give you a receipt,
a call tag.
and then you have to go, and they will pull it for you, but they will not load it on your car.
No, they won't. That's what I learned about it. I was like, oh, this is white glove service. This is badass, And then I went around back to grab 400 pounds worth of stuff or whatever, and I get my truck back there, and I'm always like, this is going to be great. They're going to have like a bunch of guys back there who's going to load my shit
Maybe a
up.
tow motor. Drop
Right, maybe a tour motor, right. I might actually get to guide somebody today. But you know what? They don't. They just have your shit sitting there. And I had to wait for like 45 minutes. So I was like, I went from being, honestly, Home Depot, where I get to go in there and pick my shit. And ultimately, if nobody's looking, I can take the tow motor and grab my own stuff, right?
You hear the fucked up thing?
Yeah.
So you said that they won't help you load or anything,
Right,
right?
right.
So my dumbass, not knowing how much fucking these landscaping bricks were gonna weigh.
Oh, God.
I go on the thing.
They're made
and
of brick.
well, I know.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't. I thought they were this big, and they ended up being bigger.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
So I'm like, okay, I got my trailer, I got my little car at the time, right? I was like 220 bricks. At this
Oh, God.
So I get there, and so I start loading them, right?
And he put them on the roof.
No.
Even in bad math, that's a ton.
This is none of
know.
this. I know I use exaggerate. This is not 1 ounce of this is exaggerated. So I start loading these things on the fucking trailer, and I get one fucking layer, and it's like 26 of them, and I'm like, oh no.
No, you're done.
And so then I start another layer and another. So I get 3 layers thick. My fenders now have a 0.5 millimeter of clearance before the
Yep.
tires. My back of my car is sunk, but I still have like about 75 or 100 fucking bricks to put in. So I put them in the back seat, on the floor, in the passenger seat, everywhere, right?
Oh, my God.
So like I look like the most ghetto dude. My car is dragging on the ground. Like unfortunately, I don't have too far to go.
Yeah.
But like this is why my transmission is fucked. Probably from this day. So but here's the thing. My point of this though. So it takes me 45 minutes to load all these goddamn fucking things.
Right,
I
yeah.
get to that little hut that John was talking about where they go and they check your receipt.
Right.
This motherfucker removed every brick out of my car and most of them off the trailer to count them and then put them all fucking back. But they didn't help me do it the fucking first time when he could have just counted them when we put them in the fucking thing.
That is not cool, man.
No.
That is not
these
cool.
guys.
Bad time to mention you have a pickup truck.
No, I didn't at the time.
At the time.
Yeah.
right, at
I
the
mean,
time.
I gotta share this because this is the dumbest thing ever. Because you're talking about this. Now, if anybody has ever owned a Honda Element, Phil has.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
You realize that they have 0 towing capacity.
No, it's one of the most deceptive vehicles in the world because
They are
you can't put a bicycle rack
You
on the back of
can't
it.
stand on the bumper without it bottoming out.
Right, it's
so
true.
I
Yeah.
bought a Yamaha Majesty 400.
Oh,
I bought one off Copart
right. Yeah, okay.
in Jackson, Mississippi,
Yeah.
which is about 2 hours from
Yeah,
New
but
Orleans, so give or take.
but hold on. A Yamaha Majesty
you're talking into the end.
So,
That's
yeah.
not the way you do it.
That's not the way I do it?
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, this is why I can't.
Turn it
Jesus
down, turn it
Christ.
down.
You're
Oh my
not
God, he killed 7
kidding.
people just now.
No
That was it.
kidding.
Murdered 7
I keep
people.
turning him
what-
up. I'm like, why isn't this fucking?
Why didn't you?
Tom, it just cracks me up. I'm getting used to
hysterical.
Tom and these things that he does. When he fell over at the podcast
Oh,
at
God.
Porco,
I wasn't even
almost
drunk.
beat myself.
That is the worst.
He is the second sober person to fall down in Porco.
Like
That is it. Yeah.
I have been called danger prone Daphne in my life.
The good news is he fell through some priceless Whitco furniture. So that was cool. That was
And I liked how it stopped, and then 2 seconds later, something else was like,
oh yeah, that was.
And
and then like a few seconds.
It was like it was the Tacoma Narrows Bridge. He was like, "Oh wait, this is going to be bad," and then it got worse.
Like the worst part is I literally was sober. I was as sober as it gets.
That's what I love about it.
I was like, oh God, I have destroyed Porco and I am stone cold sober. Like, at least give me 3 shots
Like
of
we've
Fireball.
been going there for years,
Yeah.
and many times have been obliterated. Right? Nobody breaks shit. He fucking goes. What am I saying?
I was
Obliterated.
telling Phil about this morning. It's like, the worst part is
Were you doing some blappers?
I was as sober as I could be, and I fell over in Porco.
I will admit it was a little complicated setup. You know, chairs and tables were everywhere.
I had my hamburger that I just bought from Town
It was
Hall
very-
because I couldn't eat the
Well, you
pizza.
know what?
He tried to lean on the curtain.
That was what I was going to say. The problem was it wasn't a load-bearing curtain.
It wasn't a low-bearing curtain.
He put his hand up to lean on the curtain and just went through the curtain. But it was like a Johnny Carson exit. Like he was just like, go on. I was expecting a hook because I was on the outside watching it happen. And I thought maybe you gong showed him.
Oh, I know.
Oh,
Damn it,
so
Tom.
funny. He's out.
It did look like he got jerked out of the room. Actually,
Well, I can only imagine from inside the room, it looked like he'd been raptured down. It's like you just swallowed up by the carpet.
Yeah.
So for those, we didn't have video then.
The sound was very loud because the furniture he fell through is all that like super heavy Whitco shit. You could kill a man. Like you can't win a bar fight for that shit because you can't pick it up.
It was all carved. Like everything was. It would just. And I felt really bad. I was like, look, if I was drunk. I couldn't convince you that I wasn't drunk.
Dan was drunk. He didn't fall on anything.
Dan didn't fall through shit.
Dan was drunk.
There were words he couldn't say.
I know.
I've never seen anybody drink 5 drinks or maybe more.
At Porco. And just be like, yeah, let's go. I'm riding.
Dan was thirsty. Dan was thirsty.
Like I was like, I am never going to be able to convince anybody that I am not drunk.
The only thing wrong with Dan, though, is his PCV valve broke. Because his gazaudas turned into gazindas and his gazindas turned into gazaudas at some point. I was listening to the recording, and right quick in the beginning, you were like, you tried so hard to say something, and
now
it just
it's-
came out your nose.
Daniel Rossi Spumante.
Daniel Rosti Spookcronky.
I only had 2 drinks at Porco.
How many did you have at the county line?
I didn't buy any beer at the county
Dude,
line.
you had them.
No.
Drank
He
one
didn't
beer out
buy.
of my saddlebag.
Because I was going to say, I brought my own beer in because I know how it works. And so we got to county line. I had a couple in my back and under my seat of my bike. So I was out there, and then Chris comes out. Chris was on point. Chris comes out with like 5 Stellas. So Chris comes out with 5 Stellas, and he's like being a mensch.
Well, that motherfucker, I bought him a beer, and then he went and bought beers and never gave me a beer.
Really? Oh.
'Cause I pulled my move, pull in, run in, get the first in line, you know.
That's how you do it.
Grab 6 beers
That's how
and
you
pass
do
them
it.
around.
And I wasn't even in a hurry because I knew I had some under my seat. So I just was doing my thing, and I got to, and I'm drinking, and everybody makes a mad rush. So Sean or Noel, he's like, oh God, he's like, I want a cigarette, but I know I got to get in line to get a beer. Right. And so he goes, screw it. Cigarette wins. So he lights up a cigarette, and then Chris just magically appears and he hands me a beer. And I was like, well, I already had one going and a koozie and everything. So I was like, well, I took the beer and I handed it to Sean. And Chris was like, I don't know him. And I was like, yeah, but I do. And I just beered him for you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I paid it forward.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, 200 guys show up at the county line.
Yeah, no, I got.
You can't sell one at a time.
Do you know what I did?
Yeah.
So I called them 2 weeks before the event, and I said, remember us? They went, what? And I said, the Distinguished Gentleman's Ride. And they went, Yeah, the guys on the bikes with the fancy clothes. And I went, exactly.
Yep.
And I said, now, we were here 4 years ago. I called you 2 weeks ahead of the event, and I told you to have 5 people bartending between the hours of 3 and 5.
Right. And you will make a lot of money.
And you're going to make all the money.
Yep.
You're going to make house payments.
Yep.
But be able to keep up with us.
Yep.
And have a beer special that's as simple to understand as this. Miller, $1. Anything else, $2. Don't get complicated. Something like that, right?
Yep.
We don't mix cocktails kind of thing. Just make it super stupid.
Yep.
And so I did that. I reconned that out and I prepped it 4 years ago. Last time we went to that particular bar. And we got there and they had one lady working and it was a shit show.
Yep.
And so this year, I called them the night before. So I called them 2 weeks ago and I called them the night before. And I said, remember, this is Phil from ClevelandMoto, the whole deal. I talked to you 2 weeks ago. Get somebody on there. We're going to be landing in your vicinity between 3 o'clock and 4 o'clock. And you're going to make some money if you can keep up. You might even consider hot dogs. You might consider hot dogs. You might consider ham sandwich or whatever, just something that's fast, right? If you want to really make some money.
Yep.
I said, but that's cool. But we're going to have a lot of people, over 100. And she goes, yes, I got you. We got Becky coming in. We got Clarissa coming in. It's going to be great. You see what was there when we got there?
Yep.
Becky. But
Becky.
there's also something to be said about the other side of this.
Yeah.
So if you're a rider and you're in a ride with 50, 100, 200 people.
Right.
All right. When you go in the bar, I don't give a fuck if they have a cocktail menu that's 37 fucking cocktails. deep.
Yeah.
Your options: beer,
Yeah.
Coke, or water.
Yep.
Yeah. You're right. It should be only items you can carry in one
Don't
hand.
be the fucking guy with 37 guys trying to get a Bud Light behind you. And you're like, can you add
Well,
Grand
that's-
Marnier to the fucking
The
Is
guy-
that muddled? You're like, dude, fucking get a beer. You're taking like 30 minutes later. He
You
gets
saw how
his
many
drink.
cocktails Porco had.
I don't know who. Yep. I don't know who he was.
Yeah.
But he popped $100 on the bar. He said, "Look, when it runs out, I bring you another 100.
Wow. That's cool.
This is everybody behind me. This is covering them. When it runs out, you'd let me know."
Wow. That's
And-
cool. That happened at County Line?
Yep. I don't know who he
Fucking
was.
people, man.
You know,
Clap for that guy.
Yeah.
like
that's a classy fucking move right there.
He's like, "Look, I got everybody around me. So when
Yeah.
it runs out, let me know."
That's
and
a
I went,
classy
"Damn."
move. That is a classy
So-
fucking move. Then Chris slid up and took 6 Stellas.
Came out to say, you got the next round.
No, Chris pulled up and said, "Oh, what's the most expensive beer you've got?" No, I'm
Yeah.
teasing. I'm teasing. That's not really what
So
happened.
yeah, they were like, I went to Jackson with the Honda.
Yeah.
Had a tilt rack on the back.
Yep.
Showed up a Copart.
Yep.
They gave me a bunch of shit because I wasn't like licensed.
Doesn't matter. Yeah.
But I got my bike. I got the Majesty.
But a Majesty doesn't fit inside a Honda.
It does not fit inside the Honda, so it went on the back with the Versahol,
Versal.
and it was dragging.
So you like, okay. So the
then-
idea behind Honda Element is you can put 400 pounds of your fat friends inside of it.
So then it
But
gets
you can't put 400 pounds of your fat friends
on
outside
the
of it.
back of it. So it gets worse. I get the stupid idea of stopping off at Tractor Supply and buying the collapsible trailer,
Oh, yeah.
the one you have to build.
Yeah, the building. Yeah.
and put it inside the Honda. So I have exceeded the capacity of the Honda Element by like 300 pounds.
A full tank of gas and a 10-speed exceeds the capacity of a Honda Element.
The entire way home,
Yeah.
the thing is dragging sparks.
Around here, you would never, like, all those Honda Elements, the shock towers are rusted out
yeah.
on a good day.
Yes. Yeah.
If you put anything in them, they're gone.
I mean,
They're
this
gone.
is
They're gone.
it's
Yeah.
total
My
shame. I mean,
ex-wife
this
had
is
a Honda Element, you know.
Yeah.
It had that weird floor that looked like little coins all over
Pebbles.
it, whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's-
oh yeah.
I remember
Wash out
somehow,
floor.
maybe I was just high, but I remembered seeing, even back then, that you could hose the fucking thing out.
That was always the joke.
Well,
the
I
problem,
hosed my wife's out, or ex-wife's out, and it didn't do so well.
the problem is
I
they
did
have the
front,
floor,
the
they
back,
have the floor
I hosed
vents.
everything, dude.
The floor vents are the problem.
I didn't
Again-
know. I thought you could just do it, man.
So you were talking about the bricks. I'm like, yeah, and I've got the uprated struts and everything else. I'm like, no, I'm good to go.
It's so
now.
fucking silly. But everyone does it. Everyone sees a Honda Element.
Oh,
They're like,
yeah.
oh, I can just hose it out. You're like,
No, the radio never works.
no, it's not.
ever
It's not
again.
a kiddie pool.
No, I thought it was like fucking element proof.
26,
the commercials-
26 miles of wiring underneath that.
Commercials, they show all these fucking mountain bike guys jumping in there with mud flying.
Wait,
everywhere.
wait.
Don't worry about it.
Wait. Sleepy, wait a minute. Wait, I got something for Phil. Ready? You ready? I pinch.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
I pinch.
Pinch.
I pinch.
I'm a crab.
I'm a
I
crab.
pinch.
I pinch.
Yeah, there was one of the best marketing campaigns ever. The Honda Element basically broke marketing.
Oh yeah.
Because the Honda Element came out and 90% of the people on the planet went, that's the box a car comes in. And 10% of the people went, you've made my car. I too am simple. Are the wheels round? Good enough for me.
Perfect.
Looks like the car I drew in third grade.
It does. And then they saw the semi-suicide doors and they went, ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know how you want to know if your girlfriend or your friend's an idiot? When they shut the front door without shutting the back door first.
Oh yeah.
In a Honda Element, you're like, fucking idiot.
Yeah.
Jesus.
You've never done this before.
Right. You are just awful. And like the whole twin moonroof thing.
Oh, yeah.
And they were like, yeah, that's so you can stand up in the back and change out of your wetsuit.
Wetsuit.
Right. And this whole deal.
Yeah.
And I will admit, Pete Hempfling got the Eastfalia. So he got the pop top kit for the Honda Element.
Yeah.
That is.
Oh yeah.
That makes me want to go find a 30,000 mile cherry Element from somewhere that's not Cleveland and do that conversion, that pop top conversion.
Dude, have you seen the prices of good elements?
It's annoying.
Did I mention mine's still barely 50,000?
Right. It is staggering how expensive they are.
Yeah.
Because also I've owned two Elements.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll be the first to tell you, like timing chain position or timing position sensors.
Yep.
You should have a glove box full of them.
Yep.
Right. They're not durable cars. They're not like tough. Like
I have spent a ridiculous amount of money on I bought mine with 30,000 miles.
yeah.
I've spent a ridiculous
not
amount of
durable.
money just to get 20,000 miles out of it.
They're not
But that's
durable.
because it's sat for about 15 miles.
It also
15
could
years.
be that it is where aerodynamics went to die.
Oh yeah.
So whatever motor they chose, which is not enough motor,
The K24.
the motor is not enough motor.
Nope.
It is pushing a square down the road.
Yep.
You're getting about 22 miles per gallon on your best goddamn day.
And it's attached to the world's worst transmission.
It is hand to God the wrong wheel drive.
Yep.
They real time all wheel drive. It is basically fun time 4-wheel drive, and that is that it takes all the power from the tires that grip and gives it to the tire that slips.
Yep.
I have been stuck in a Honda Element in my own fucking driveway. It is.
If you take a CRV V6 and put it in this thing, it would be a great car.
Off-road vehicle for people who've never seen snow.
I like that. What is that? Is it the Nissan? It's like the same
Cube.
designer.
It's a Cube.
No, not the Cube. It's the. It's almost like the
NV
commercial van.
the
that
NV2000.
looks like
It's the NV2000.
The same designer
Yep.
was like, I'm going to make a van now. After
when I
that.
couldn't find an Element because I looked for about 2 years to find the one that I did. I was looking at the NV2000.
Nissan NVs.
Yep.
And they make the 3500 version of that.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Which is so you're like, I too have a heavy duty, super duty vehicle.
Well, because
and people
they-
are like,
they-
no, you don't.
They for a
but
very,
they do. They're V8s and
yeah.
they're powerful and people haul shit with them.
for that brief period of time. They had like the Ford Transit.
Right.
And the Nissan NV and the Chevy, whatever the hell that thing's called, the little tiny one and the Dodge Ram ProMaster. And there was this whole series of itty bitty little vans that were for commercial use.
Stolen from Japan and Europe.
Yeah.
So what kind of user emails do we have?
Uh-oh.
My box died. My literally my battery died. My battery died. I'm gonna try and pull them up my phone.
Did
though.
anybody send us pictures?
No.
Are there any jokes that we owe somebody because they paid $10?
I'm done.
That's
like,
okay.
I'm just gonna say
That's
I
fine.
didn't bring my charger for my laptop, and
No,
my
no.
laptop normally runs for a long time. It didn't run for a long time this time. Anyway, but
So I had that thing I was going to talk about. We want to talk about it?
It's all right.
Bring it on.
This is an after-school special.
It
Please
was
do.
Stevel Knievel.
I know.
Oh, okay.
I figured.
I did actually. I was able to see him in the
You
hospital.
able to go visit him?
And I talked with him about it, and he said, "No, you can talk about it on the
Okay,
podcast."
good enough.
Okay.
Good enough for me.
It was a green light from him,
Right.
not his wife. or
So,
anybody else.
John, I would like you to now bring the podcast who has not been aware of something that we've been aware of for over 3 weeks.
Yeah, I think it's a more like
It's
a
a
month.
month, yeah.
It
Oh,
seems
it's-
like forever.
it's
Been a
approaching
while,
month.
man. Yeah.
So if you've been wondering why Grumpy Sewer Guy isn't here,
Not on the podcast. Yep.
it's because he's been in the hospital.
Right.
It was a beautiful sunny day. He was in Speculator, New York, riding his Honda Monkey on on what was probably an out and back. He was very fond of, one tank out, one tank back. So that's about 150 miles on that bike.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if he was on the out or on the return, but he had.
Also, let's explain the roads.
Can you talk into the mic? I'm not hearing you.
Sorry, thank you. Explain the roads a little bit. Like, what are we dealing with when you're riding out
Well, speculators, beautiful riding. I wouldn't say it's dragon material or anything like that.
But the roads are meaning that
Up
there's
and down,
nothing around.
roller coast, up
Trees,
and down.
no, like literally 20 miles of not one building.
Yeah.
Nothing.
I mean, and also, I mean, Sleepy will tell you that it's 150 miles at the gas station. From the gas station to gas station.
You have to know how far you're going.
So at some point, he had an accident. And I've talked with him a little bit about it. He's had visions of deer, but he's not sure if that's just a dream that he had or whatever. He went off the road. Supposedly, it was when they went to tow his bike, which was the monkey. It was down 6 feet. You couldn't see it from the road. Apparently, he was able to crawl back up to the road, though having sustained significant injuries.
But he didn't think he had him, right?
No, he was pretty much, according to the off-duty, his son was able to speak with the off-duty sheriff's deputy, and he said that Steve said, "Oh, I'm okay. I'm all right." He was sitting but upright on the side of the road, but later come to find out he had 2 exploded vertebrae, a broken leg, a broken wrist,
Lots of bad.
collapsed lungs, spleen injury, yes. So if he'd have waved that guy on and that guy hadn't been an off-duty deputy who was like, "No, I'm not leaving this guy," he probably wouldn't be with us today.
Right, and
there were a lot of heroic measures on down the line. For everybody from it was the Saranac Lake Rescue Squad and the Long Lake Rescue Squad. These were people who took him from where he was. He couldn't get approved for life flight, so they took him an hour and a half to Albany, New York, to receive critical care.
Right, and then didn't you find out? So there, from everything that they can tell, and from the bike that we've gotten back now, and you've seen in person, it doesn't look like there was another vehicle involved. So it wasn't like a hit and run or anything.
No, as far as we know, he somehow drifted off the road,
and the monkey doesn't look bad. I mean, the front fender's dented.
The front end's twisted, but it could even be one of those things where if you loosened everything up, you might be able to straighten it out. New front fender, pretty good divot in the tank where the triple's twisted enough that it contacted the tank.
But when we were talking many times about this and stuff, we still maybe think that maybe a deer jumped and he hit, because how much damage he has for not hitting anything. I don't know.
I feel like, and this is just my total conjecture, but when I look at the bike and I see both mirrors are straight forward and there's no mirrors on them.
Right.
So the stocks of the mirrors are just forward. It feels to me like he went off the road, went airborne, landed in a ditch, and just landed on the bike and flipped over. Maybe did a whiplash thing back and forth, or I don't know. We will never know. He doesn't know.
Right.
And he was basically in a medically induced coma for, just on painkillers. It wasn't actual coma, but he was tubes in both lungs, feeding tube through the nose.
Yeah.
Not really conscious for at least a couple of weeks. And a lot of playing around waiting to get various surgeries on his spine, his leg, his wrist. But the really, really good news is he is pretty much going to be fully functional. He doesn't have any serious debilitating injuries that would prevent him from being able to walk and talk. And he did definitely have his motorcycle helmet on.
Yeah.
So that saved his cranium, his brainium. And so
was he in shorts?
I don't know, but
Of course he was.
but I can tell you that he does not have any road rash that was visible.
No.
So aside from 6 different various surgeries, which they couldn't perform until he was stabilized and they could get him to breathe, which one of them was they had to do a thoracotomy on his one lung. He had 2 liters of fluid in there.
Yeesh.
10 liters of blood, apparently, is how many, through his surgery. So he's very big on wanting to donate blood because he lost a lot of blood during this whole process. And I can only imagine he's a little bit of a freak about things like that. I'm like, wonder what kind of blood's in you, Steve.
Yeah.
Do you wonder, I didn't say this, but wonder if any of them were vaccinated.
Well, and on top of that, like knowing Steve, like just the fact that he was in a hospital, he's probably going to find out how to like change his DNA now or something. To that
Well,
extent.
I think that this situation is going to ease him. Like he really didn't like. That's probably why he was sitting alongside the road. Like, I don't want to go to the hospital. I'm gonna have my wife pick me up and just take me home, and I'll just lie down because he hates doctors. He hates hospitals. He doesn't want to take medicine. But I think this is kind of, he realizes that's kind of broke him of all that. Like he's under nothing but medical care. But the good news too is though he's very adamant about wanting to get the fuck out of there, and so he says he's doing everything that they can. Anything they ask him to do, he's going to do it, and he just wants to do whatever it takes to get better and get the hell out of there and get back to his life. I mean, he thinks, he's like, he wants to come back to work. He wants to do this and stuff. It's like, just take your fucking time, dude.
But he's using sick days.
Yeah, well, he has 3,000.
I know. But I think he takes pride in collecting them.
Yeah, well, yeah. There's a whole thing. It's quirky.
He's going to cash in a little of his sick days, I think, at this point.
Yeah.
This might break the seal.
I'm like, you're good for a year and a half, I think.
Yeah, no problem. But
Like, literally.
But that's the
Like,
thing
not
is,
kidding.
Yeah.
he's, we
But
want
he's
him to
like,
rehabilitate.
He doesn't want to lose his job. He's like, worried. I'm like, nobody, Steve. Everybody cares deeply about you.
Yeah.
Nobody's.
Right.
That's not going to happen. You're going to be fine. Like, they'd be insane to try to fire you right now. Like they can't.
But in his mind,
that'd be the best thing that could happen because you could be off work for 2 or 3 years and get your job back and then get a big back paycheck because there's no way that would ever stand.
right.
You're exactly right. And now I wanted to know, now in any of those surgeries, were they actually able to get the seat from the monkey out of his ass?
No, that's still stuck
Okay.
up there well, I mean, his head's up there, but you can still talk to him.
Okay, there you go. So I mean, it's terrifying. Yeah. We're making light of it right now, but it is terrifying, and we've known about this. Here's the thing that I want to bring to people's attention. The family made the decision that they did not want this to go public. Mm-hmm. And I respect the living hell out of that. Yeah. I really do.
Yeah, that was right in the beginning too,
Yeah.
because they didn't know. I mean, it was touch and go whether he was going to live or die. So they were just like, no, don't tell the podcast, don't do anything.
Right.
We just,
Yeah, and so we had one of our podcast listeners, Adam, had stopped by last week, and I had invited him because he's doing a trip, riding his motorcycle around, riding his V-Strom around. Like he does, he'll go out for a week and he'll just camp and enjoy the road and things. Well, he showed up for us to do a podcast, and I had to tell him, I was like, well, we're not doing the traditional podcast. We're not doing the normal thing because he'd popped in because he just Thursday night, right?
Yeah, right.
And so I was like, well, we're not doing it Thursday night. Doing it Friday night last week, And I'd said, but. And he's like, oh, that's too bad, because I really wanted to meet everybody. And I was like, look, I said, I'm just gonna tell you, one of our members, this is just last week. So I said, one of our members was in a crash, and we're doing things a little differently. We're not meeting on the normal nights and things like that. And I said, so that's what it is. So it didn't work out with his schedule for him to hang around until Friday to do a podcast. And so I said, yeah, so I'm sad that you couldn't be there. Did bring us a bottle of moonshine, which is back at the shop. So we have that. Yeah, it's real nice. So that's cool. And he's not a drinker, but he was nice enough to bring us a bottle, even though he's not a drinker. So, but I was like, well, at the family's request, I'm not going to tell you any more details about this, and I'm sure it will come out. So I'm really glad that we're talking about this in this episode, that we're going over this because Steve is a vital part of this.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's weird. Is I don't remember. I'm not even talking about when you or any of us have lost a limb or something like that.
Right.
That thing. But I have never remembered when we were all together that we weren't cracking jokes or something the whole time.
Yeah.
And that was the few time when John posted or sent that to our text thing.
Yeah.
Nobody there was
there was no jokes about it because we're fucking really worried,
Yeah,
we are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
The levity hit everybody. It was holy shit.
the jokes did come later though. He's now no longer Grumpy Sewer Guy. He will be referred to as Stevel Knievel.
Yeah.
Well, hey, when we finally finish his monkey, when we're putting this all back together,
No, but there's a lot to
it
remember
does
now.
have to have the Evil Knievel stars, and
It might have to.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I could tell you that his motorcycle career is in the lurch.
That's what I'm,
And if anything, he's not going to be able to touch a motorcycle for about a year.
That's what I wanted to make sure that we could kind of acknowledge. Not just Steve may decide, like, I've been in some bad crashes and I couldn't get on the goddamn motorcycle fast enough riding with it cast above my knee, right? That's the thing. But this is different. Steve's life is hanging on by thread, literally. And the injuries he's sustained, his back is never going to be the same.
Nope.
He's going to have, whether or not there's a spleen functioning there, that's going to change your whole life too. Now, when you come that close to widowing your wife and not being there for your kids anymore, and you know what a critical component he is.
I think that's a factor.
I do.
I think his wife is not real hot on him ever.
I'm sure his kids aren't real hot on him removing himself from the picture. And anybody at this point in his family, is going to say, wow, you're getting back on a motorcycle? Mm-hmm. Even though you know you cut me, I bleed, right? I bleed two-stroke, right? I bleed blood, but it's 15W40, right? We know that feeling, but I also completely respect the situation where if he only takes a year off, I would be shocked. But I'm also scared to tell him that I didn't cash the check on his G400C. So it's not in his name.
I'll talk to you about that later.
Yeah, right. I'm like, I don't want to be the guy who's going to be like, well, I didn't know how things were going to go.
Yeah.
And I figured your family could probably use the money more than a motorcycle that you probably shouldn't ride for a year.
Yeah.
So
Somebody,
I just felt
we
like
could talk about
it was a sketch. It was like one of those moments where you're like, this guy's my friend and I don't want to put him in more financial hardship by cashing a check. And I also, when is this guy going to want to ride again? If ever.
Kit was like, tell Phil to come get this.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, that's a conversation that should happen between Steve and Phil.
That's fine. Yeah. I mean, I'm ready to do it. If Steve wants me to come and get it, I'll come and get it. You know, that's the way I roll. That I would not care.
I didn't mention anything about the check or anything like that, but whatever.
And if she wanted me to quarantine all of his bikes, that's different.
I'm probably going to be spending a lot of time trying to help him move
Yeah.
bikes. I talked to him. I'm like,
Yeah.
even if you just zero out, I mean, it doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't
You're not
matter.
riding a bike for a year, so start selling all your bikes.
And he fucking loves buying and selling bikes anyway.
Put the money in the bank account and then buy a boat. But he's like, I don't think a boat. It's just not, he's down for a while.
He's down for a while. I totally agree.
Let's get him walking. He can't put any weight on his one foot. So you've got a couple more months before he can get walking again. So
you know what? What a perfect opportunity to zero out. Like you said, it's a perfect opportunity to zero out and then come back into baby steps. But you got to respect your family. And if your family is not good with that, man,
in my situation, I'd be like, no.
Yeah. No, believe me,
That's my decision to make. And
Right.
if you want to draw a line in the sand,
Right.
I'll be on this side of it.
I know.
You'll be on that side.
Yeah,
But
I
that's
know.
me.
And
I know that Steve definitely very much cares for his family and everything. I do too, but I just think that that's part of who I am.
Yep.
That's who you married.
Yeah.
And if you would say that I don't know.
I've talked to my kids, my family, everything, and I said, listen, if I go out doing this, I like it. If I ever crash, I'm going to continue to ride.
I'm looking for any excuse to develop a really good decoy duck hobby. Fuck these motorcycles. Get this shit out of my life. I'm looking for, I don't know, something.
At this point,
Star Wars figures, cosplay, anything.
At this point, really, what am I going to do with my life?
If I can't ride a motorcycle, I probably wouldn't do the sidecar rig kind of thing like that, But that's the other thing is
I want to grow a ponytail.
We were
driving
already
Miata.
talking about it. It was like, well, maybe we should get into the small little sports cars and stuff like that. Like you could easily go down to go ride.
Oh no! I've owned Miatas. You don't want to get that route.
I don't want a small one. I have what I want.
Right. I was going to say, you have an adult-sized pedal car.
Yeah.
You have a Corvette. You have a plastic adult-sized
If we
pedal
want
car.
to start going on sports car
Wait,
rides, I
wait,
guess
wait.
we'll do that.
And then you don't even have to LS swap.
Oh, great. And then
You're
you got to
not-
go to the Dragon and be on the wrong side of the fucking mustard.
You're not wearing a satin jacket. You don't own a Corvette. Wear your white shoes.
I don't have all the stuff I'm supposed to have. I'm sure I'll get there someday.
Hey, man. But I do completely, I totally get that. So we, obviously, you know that we want Steve to have the absolute best recovery ever.
Yeah.
And we'll see. We'll
If
see what that
anybody
looks like.
felt like donating any money to anybody, it was the Saranac Lake Volunteer Rescue and the Long Lake Volunteer Rescue Squads, and they have donation things on their websites.
Yeah.
That's what the family and he have said, like, those are the people who saved his life.
When you consider how far away he was from a developed thing, like how far away, how long it took him. They talk about the golden half an hour, that half an hour between a traumatic injury and your likelihood of survival, 30 minutes, right?
Do they even know how long he was sitting at the guardrail?
I don't know, but luckily somebody found him. They did put him. They took him to a local hospital. Well, he lost consciousness in the squad.
Yeah.
They took him to a local hospital, and they were like, "This guy's fucked. You got to get him to like."
Oh, really?
We
this is
can't do this.
You got to get him to Albany. You got to get him to a level whatever fucking trauma center. Like,
trauma center, yeah.
He needs multiple surgeries.
Yeah,
he
he
needs
does, yeah.
like life
He
saving
was in
care.
terrible shape.
quickly.
Yeah.
So you said that, so the ambulance that picked him up initially, the ambulance that
I
picked him
believe
up.
that was Saranac Lake, and then it was Long Lake.
So that vehicle took him to the first hospital, and they said, Did they change ambulances at that point, or he'd go all the way in Albany?
I don't know if it was. One of them took him to the hospital. I think Saranac.
Not that it matters.
I think it was Saranac Lake took him all the
way to Albany. Yeah,
hour and a half.
that is fucking crazy, man. But that's what you do.
Well, I guess it was weather. They
Yeah.
couldn't get approved for a life flight because of weather. And
I was out in the middle of the desert one time, driving cross country, delivering bikes. And might have had Emmy with me, and we were taking the road through the desert as opposed to taking Interstate 80 or whatever. We were going through the asparagus field or whatever the fuck it is.
on a horse with no name.
Yeah, and we saw lights and sirens. We saw a squad coming up a long, and you can see for 20 miles out there. And so we see this squad out there in the distance, and it turns out, it was hilarious, one intersection in the middle of goddamn nowhere, and we both ended up at the intersection at the same time, right? And it was one of those like 55 miles an hour both directions, we don't need a sign kind of intersections. And the squad pulled out, and we gave way to the squad. The squad made a right-hand turn, and off he fucks. And so we're behind him. Now, this is where they film, Space Invaders kind of thing. Like, there's nothing out there. And so I looked at Emmy, and I was like, well, let's just stand a 6, right? He's blocker now. It's 2:00 in the morning, whatever. And we chased that fucking ambulance for almost 100 miles.
Wow.
Because that's what it is. And it brought something home to us. We were having this conversation in our hour behind the ambulance, doing a long ton, that if you choose to live out here, you better not fall off a ladder.
Yeah, or have some really good first aid skills.
Yeah. Because can you imagine having something awful happen to you and it being a 100-mile trip to an hospital? Yeah. And that's terrifying. And when you think about Steve going to a hospital and then being told no, and I mean, Steve's probably not really there for this, but then having to be shuffle off to Buffalo or shuffle off to Albany in this case, that you've got to go all the way there in the back of the house, in the back of the ambulance, that's fucked up. And then when you get there, then they life flighted him. No, they didn't life flight him?
He never rode in a helicopter.
He never did a helicopter? Okay, yeah.
So Albany to here
Yeah.
was a 7 and 8 hour drive in a medical.
He told me
Not an
he told me
ambulance.
it was 9.
Yeah,
9 hours.
Not an ambulance, but a medical transport.
Medical transport. 9 hours. Wow. Wow.
in
I
a,
mean-
in a gurney.
In a gurney. Hey, but at least you get to come home.
Yeah. Oh, he was happy about that.
At least you're back
Very
in
happy
Ohio.
about that.
Yeah, at least you're back in Ohio. At least you're back where your friends and family and shit can get to you. That's good. That's cool. So, John, you've gone up to see him already.
Yep.
Kromke, you went up to see him already?
Couple times.
Yeah, good man. Very good man. Anybody else? I haven't. I've been fucking stupid
I'm going
busy.
to try to go again tomorrow.
Yeah, cool. Very cool. Yeah, that's good. How does Spirits seem? How does he feel? I mean, how's he?
His spirits seem really pretty good. I mean, it's all Steve. I mean,
Good.
He's being very realistic about this, and I mean, he wants to comply with what they want him to do.
Which is shocking to me.
Yeah, that is crazy.
Like it is amazing to me that he wants to play along.
He was able to shit and shower and stuff like that a couple
Yep.
times.
Okay.
So that's big for him.
That's
He's
big.
Like,
Yeah.
But they have a walker, but the walker, he's got a bad wrist. So
Yeah.
They have like an arm thing. So he has to like go like this,
He's got a bad arm on one side and a bad
Leg on the other side.
so
Yeah. And I'm honestly shocked that they've got him up putting weight on the leg already.
he's not putting any weight on.
Oh, good. Okay.
10
All right.
weeks,
Yeah. And they pinned the leg yet?
I think so.
They've done all the initial surgeries on
Okay.
everything that they're going to do.
All right.
Whether there are more surgeries later on, who knows?
Who knows? Right. Yeah. That's something. That is really something. So, yeah, I got to get up there and visit him. So,
I mean, the biggest thing was getting tubes out of his lungs. I mean, that's what was really fucking him. And
I can't imagine
his
anybody.
he's doing voice therapy
Yeah.
and stuff because it's still
It's
fucking-
torn up.
But he now did get to the point where he has no food restrictions. He can eat and drink. whatever he
Oh,
wants.
that's good. Good for him. That's great. Oh, that's fantastic. Well, that's a thing. I mean, you have that. It's been a month. So you have that, and it's been a month, and you got to say, like, Jesus Christ, out of that time, he spent the vast majority of that time with tubes going down his throat.
Yes.
yeah.
Oh, man. That is not the way I want to spend a month of my life. That is awful.
Solid 3 weeks, I'd say.
Yeah. Oh, it's terrifing. I would just scares the living shit out of me. It really does. Just super terrifying. So,
He
yeah.
still has one tube in him.
Oh, really? Oh, really?
Now that's
No.
out now.
Oh,
Wait.
it's out now. I haven't been
He
there.
just had a catheter?
That was his last tube.
The catheter was the last tube.
Yeah.
Oh.
I janked on it a little bit.
Should you go to walk to the bathroom and trip over it and be like, whoa, sorry,
Like
buddy.
you ain't getting away this easy.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's never a good time. Damn. Well, okay. I mean, hey, there we are. There we are. Son of a bitch. Fuck, man. Fuck. Yeah. You guys are going to make me wear all my safety gear.
So I talked to you extensively about his injuries. And
Yeah.
and I'm like, well, you caught up with Phil all in one go.
In one go, he passed me.
Yeah.
He got more metal in his body in one go.
He said they didn't take vertebrae out. So if they were shattered, I don't know.
That's the way it usually works.
So
Yeah.
I
I don't know what's going on
They
either.
usually pin them back together.
That's the game. If there's anything there to work with, they try to work with it.
So he might not have
together and
he might not have a
Cage
ladder.
it.
I don't
Yeah.
know if he has a ladder.
Yeah, if they can cage it, that's great. Yeah. Yeah. That was, for mine, I got the erector set. So I got the the skip in the track, right? The zipper with the broken tooth. So I hope that they're able to do better for him, because for me, that's a thing where I can't suck my own dick anymore. There's all kinds of stuff that is off the table now. It's just gone.
I mean, I'm sure you can. What about just bouncing your chin off it? I know you can. Do
Well,
that.
yeah, I can do that. Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, I can but I can do that standing up, so it's not a big deal. When you recover from motorcycle crashes, when you go through that, and I've had my one crash, I had a lot of broken bones at one time, so just like he's going through right now. It's just a lot.
Well, when it happened, and I saw a first picture, he just like his whole body looked swollen.
Well, yeah, that's
was
what happens.
swole.
You just inflate,
Well, yeah.
right? Your whole body just inflates because
Like he had a ball bat beating.
Well, and the thing too is if you ragdoll. So if you have a crash and you ragdoll, all your joints, every single joint in your body that gets hyperextended, you would be amazed at how far your leg can go beyond where you think your leg can go, like outside of the normal rotation of
Oh,
your
I
hip
have
socket.
really good. I didn't know everything about that. Yeah, I just sure come back, dude.
Fuck that. Yeah. Right. But every time you do that, there's so much tendon damage. There's so much joint and ligament damage. And you think about like, oh, I sprained my ankle. That hurts. Imagine if you sprained your body, right? All of it, the whole goddamn thing. And what got me was like the stuff that I didn't expect, like my neck. Like I never had understood. The helmet did its job. The helmet did a great job. What got me was like for fucking 4 weeks, I couldn't turn my head.
Yeah.
So he's like, even if I could cheat and get out to my truck and get into my truck and be like, I gotta go. I just gotta get out of the house. I gotta go somewhere. I couldn't look over my shoulder. I couldn't see anything except for straight ahead.
Well, that's the thing. It's like when your body comes off the bike, your head is like the tail of a whip.
It is.
It's like, so your body and hands led, and that just makes your head go, bam, and like that's like snapping your neck like really bad.
It was like the things about having a violent, a violent get off or a high speed get off. It's not the broken bones. It's the other things.
Unfortunately, his wife threw the helmet away.
Oh, really?
I'm like,
oh man. Yeah.
She's like, it was all scraped up. I'm like,
that's the idea. Right. Yeah. That's the idea that it's all scraped up.
Was he wearing his 3/4 or a real one?
I do not know. I do not know, but
Well, I mean, his face isn't.
I would
bald,
assume he generally wore a 3/4.
That's his jam. Yeah. He never voluntarily wears a full face. Yeah.
He doesn't have a mark on his face.
Right.
So.
Right. And also, we also don't know what kind of terrain he went off in.
Yeah, right.
Right. That's the whole deal.
yeah.
If he didn't do a fucking slide on the tarmac.
The bike ended up 6 feet down in a ditch. So
That's weird. That whole thing's weird. We don't know. I mean, we don't know, right? Without telemetry, without a GoPro. From now on, though, anywhere Steve goes, we're going to make him have a GoPro. We're just going to put a GoPro on his head, little GoPro headlight. Just, if he passes out, we'll know what happened to him.
Yeah.
We won't have to do any forensics after the fact. So that is fucking tough, man. Yeah, it's definitely made me. I've come into the shop this week on my bike, and I'm like, oh, here's my jacket, here's my helmet, here's my gloves, here's my boots, here's my pants.
Dude, when I went to see our buddy Dan, sewer guy Dan, in Medina a couple weeks ago, I was just going to go on my little CB350 down.
Do you have any friends that aren't sewer guys?
No, apparently they're like fucking roaches.
the only ones
man.
that can stand the smell.
I was going to say, it's the only thing we produce in Ohio is shit.
Yeah,
Friends in the lowest place.
Number one in the number two business.
But to your point, I was just gonna run out with my like little helmet,
Talking shit.
wearing sneakers, and be cool, right?
Right.
And I was like, I can't even do it for that now. So now I'm like, I've always been gear guy, but now I'm like,
I own 18 helmets.
I walked out of the house this morning.
Yeah.
Now, it was cold.
Yeah.
For me, it's really cold.
It's cold, yeah.
But
It's cold.
I walked out of the house. I could not find my helmet.
Oh, okay.
So I walked towards the bike, and I'm like, no, I'm getting complacent. This is not what I do. I have to go back into the house and find my full face helmet because I've worn.
Your commute is 9 miles.
It is a mile. You have laughed at me for putting on my jacket, and I said I'm not putting it on for safety. I am putting it on for warmth
value.
Like it is cold. I am used to it. It is 100 degrees in my house right now,
Put on a helmet and gloves.
and like
Because
helmet and gloves. You could
Peggy
wear.
has a friend, a woman that she works with. Her husband, boyfriend, who I guess they're divorced. Like she got rid of him. Like it's bad. He was not wearing a helmet, and he's not recovering.
Oh, no,
at
no.
any kind of rate.
I have seen-
from a head trauma. So.
I have seen get-offs at 30 miles at like no miles an hour by somebody running a stop sign, and dude was
They can fix everything else,
yeah.
but when the computer goes bad,
Oh no.
you can't change the mother.
I came into work the other day on the Harley, and I put my full face on, and the Harley wouldn't start.
Well, that's built into the bike.
Nope.
That is built into that bike.
No, I'm lying. The Harley started fine, but it was fucking weird riding that motorcycle with a helmet on. Because I think I've ridden that motorcycle with a helmet on, like in my police training, because you have to, right? And so, and even in the police training, when I showed up police training, I had a full face on, and everyone there was shorties because cops are shorty people.
Yeah.
So
They're all brain damaged anyway. I'm sorry. Did I say that out loud?
yeah. They're not brain damaged. They just got in a bad spot. They haven't been able to get out yet. That's all. That's what I see any cop in the world. I see a cop who's been a cop more than like a couple of years, and I'm just like, you're just stuck, man. That's all.
Stuck.
You can do it. I know you can get out, but you just might be stuck for a little bit. Because everybody I've ever met that was a cop, like when they're not a cop anymore, whether it's 5 years, 3 years,
Your
10
music
years,
career will
or
take
20
off
years,
anyway. Let's go.
You'll be fine, man. You'll be fine. You can get out of it. It's cool. There are other jobs.
No, like I said, I go 1 mile. 1 mile.
Yeah.
And I still at GAT.
It was a thing. It was a thing putting all the stuff on.
Yep.
And I put all the stuff on. I rode the Vespa the other day too, and I had all the stuff on. So like riding the Harley in with all the stuff on, that's weird.
Your
But
brown boots look nice. A couple people said something.
Oh, you like those?
Oh, look at those boots.
Oh, check out those icons. Yeah.
These
Well,
are the
I
guys that had the brown satchels on their motorcycles with their brown.
I saw more tobacco colored leather.
We could do like the top 10 motorcycles that make the street feel the softest when you fall off.
Oh, that's a good idea. That's a motorcycle that felt really bad when you were on it, but it feels nice to be off. It was like the smart pillin. Like when you got off the Vit pillin, when you got off the Vit pillin, you're like, anything feels better than that.
You're like,
Yeah.
I think I was sitting on a bench.
No, actually, there's upholstery on it, but somehow the upholstery makes it harder.
I shit talk Harley all the time. Yeah. Like I do.
Yeah.
The XLCR, which I have loved. Like it's one of those bikes you're like, I would love to have an XLCR. Yeah. They ride like a goddamn ironing board.
Yes.
They are as hard a motorcycle as you can
Darth
sit
Vader's
on.
Sportster. It is.
I love it's just like the 599 I owned. It is a beautiful bike. I love it.
Watch the movie Black Rain to see how much cocaine our ancestors did in the 80s. But the hero, Mike Douglas, rides an XLCR
And it
in Japan.
Oh, God.
And mixes it up with Bosozoku boys.
right.
Oh, nice.
And mixes it up with a Yakuza. On a Harley Davidson 1000cc Cafe Racer XLCR, which is not capable of doing any of the things.
Oh no.
At all.
But it
May be able to go to a cafe.
it may be able to go to a cafe.
I still want a boat tail Harley.
Fitty.
dude.
It rides like an ironing board.
It is. Well, the solution for that bike was they wanted to make a Cafe Racer out of a
Right.
Sportster.
Right.
And the solution was that they had to have cornering clearance.
Yeah.
Which really wasn't
Harley's go-to thing. Yeah.
in the 80s, right? And so they said, well, you got to get the bike up in the air a little bit. So you got to get the bike up in the air a little bit. And so they did that by putting like the hardest fucking shocks on the planet on the goddamn thing. And I will say the front was as bad as the back.
yeah.
It was fine. But the aesthetic of it, beautiful.
Oh, it's
But the Rika kits that are
it
available
looks
today
amazing.
are better.
It looks amazing. And it's the most horrible motor, like even more than the sports drive I started today.
For a short while, in the early 90s, XLCRs were worth nothing.
Oh yeah.
They were worth nothing, but the good news was they were rare. So like if you did see one pop, you'd go, what idiot's going to buy that? And then for like
Yep.
$5,000 or $6,000, somebody would
Yep.
buy it. But then something happened.
Yep.
And they all became $50,000.
Yep.
For a bike that honestly anybody could have built out of a parts catalog.
Yep.
Well, you know what happens now is that if one dude, even if he fakes lists it,
Right.
like he knows he's not getting 50 grand, if that circulates on the fucking
Oh, it
forums,
does.
like, look at this idiot, he's asking 50 grand. Then 27 other people are like, well, I can at least ask 45 for
I have
mine.
never seen groupthink, herd mentality as strong as it is right now regarding pricing of things.
Oh, it's insane.
Because I hear 5 times a week, well, my bike is worth $18,000 because I saw 2 of them on
Yep.
Cycle Trader
Yep.
for $17,000 and mine's nicer.
Yep.
And I'm like, well, Kelly Blue Book says your bike is worth $10,000. And NADA, who's actually based on facts, says your bike, NADA's JD Power now.
Yep.
NADA says your bike is worth 8.
Right.
So you saying your bike is worth 17 or 18 is a fucking pipe dream. But that is the thing that's happening. Next week, we're going to have a different topic. And the topic will be the motorcycle that Phil brought to the meeting. That's going to be the topic next week. I'm not telling you what it is, but it's another bad deal. I'm making another bad deal.
I
And
disagree.
this time, though, I'm not letting any of you fuckers ride it. So that's the deal I'm making for next week. Nobody's going to ride the bike.
I disagree. I think you made a very, very lucrative decision. I like this idea. I know. I think this is what it is.
I'm going to promise you that 1 week from today, we're going to have strong opinions.
Yep.
but not riding opinions.
Nope.
No, even I look at this going, no, this is not a riding bike.
I'm already trying to figure out the place, the place on my wall I'm going to hang this motorcycle.
Does it have 0 miles?
It
No.
has 300.
It's
400?
it is a thing. I'm not gonna lie.
Is it older than 30 years old?
Oh no, it's actually very young.
I think it still has a temp tag on it.
Yep.
Yeah.
But it is totally.
400.
It is not a GN 400. Nope. No, it doesn't matter. We don't need to play the game. All we're going to say is we're going to talk about this next week.
You told me about this, and I'm like,
We're going to talk about this next
I
week.
think you did all right.
We're going to talk about it next week. We're going to have opinions. I promise you. If you guys want to play the guessing game about what the fuck did Phil just get himself into, tomorrow I take possession of the thing.
Yep.
Tomorrow it shows up. And tomorrow, 3 bikes leave. And that tells you a little something about the equation, too.
Yeah.
This motherfucker's expensive. So, 1 bike enters, 3 bikes leave kind of deal.
Doing the math on that, even I'm like, wow, that's a lot.
This
Gotta go.
is going to be either a really, really he was remarkably, wow. Forward thinking that, Phil. Or, wow, never gonna unload that one.
Well, the older version,
Do a Ducati type scenario.
not far off.
We're gonna talk about it next week.
But the older versions have actually retained their value. So I don't think you did all right.
We're gonna figure it out. We're gonna figure it out because on this one, I like because you brought that up as the segue because this motorcycle has a $10,000 gap between what people think it's worth and what there's documentation to prove it's worth. And I can guarantee you this. There's a $10,000 gap between what people say it's worth and what the insurance will pay you if you crash it. And the $10,000 gap goes the wrong way against you.
Yeah.
There. Yeah. So anyway, it's not a TW200.
No.
Somebody won our game, by the way, from last week. We asked what was the oldest, longest running production motorcycle that hasn't changed.
Yeah.
I can't believe we didn't get this right.
Uh-oh.
Yamaha PW50.
Oh wow.
Oh.
Holy
wow.
shit. Yeah,
Wait.
you're right.
Yeah.
There's still this little
1981.
Yeah.
That's how long.
They're still making them now, right?
Of course
Oh, yeah.
they are.
Yeah.
It was the best kids bike ever.
And half of them end up hooked to little things in front of Kmart going
Right.
for a quarter and have 0 miles on them.
So that's 42 years.
Yeah.
Ah.
Isn't that amazing?
That is awesome.
That is amazing. But why it's significant is how many people, like an average PW50, over its life of over 40 years, do you think it taught 100 people how to ride motorcycles?
Like a lot. Taught Valentino Rossi
Think
how
about
to ride
that.
one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
'Cause-
I know families who are in my customers at my shop that have 17 or 18 motorcycles and the one PW50 that the whole fucking neighborhood learned how to ride on. Takes a village.
Yeah. Perfect example. It's probably out of frame. That is what everybody in my family learned to shoot.
That's
with.
not a PW50.
No.
Oh, no. It's the gun, the rifle. Yeah.
That
yeah,
right there has
Yeah.
taught everybody in my family how to shoot.
Right. 22 calibers.
That is that may as well be a PW50
Bolt action,
because
right?
everybody has
Yeah.
owned that gun.
Yeah, that's the idea. But
Yeah.
42
yeah.
years, right? For the same fucking shaft drive.
Oh yeah.
Like, it's
had a-
cool.
My friend had a sister we used to call PW50.
Town pump,
Town pump.
town bike. Everyone has a
learn how
ride.
to ride.
Yeah. I'm going to when that podcast listener cleared me up on that and said, no, man, you guys fucked up. It was Patreon. So I'm like, no, you guys
Patreon.
fucked up.
Yeah. That was a good one.
1981 PW50.
PW50.
That is so fucking clear too when you think about it at this moment. And yeah, I mean, I know we can go Honda Cub and just go way back into the Wayback Machine.
Yeah, but the PW really hasn't changed.
The PW is legitimately, I think it might be the same color.
Right. It's that blue.
It's a blue and white.
White thing. It has that low ass, the tube that goes into like the caffeine capsule fucking muffler. Yeah.
I swear to God. And that's another perfect example of like whoever the guy was that worked at Yamaha in 1981.
I wonder if he gets residuals.
I was wondering. I was like, does he get a check? Does he get 10 cents every time they sell a PW50?
Tell you what. We'll reach out to Dean.
Yeah.
Dean can probably find out.
Isn't that a great concept though? You think about like residuals. So you think about like a guy that's like, it would encourage people to design really nice motorcycles.
Well, think about this too. If you were like a lead designer on a project like that in 1981, you were probably 45,
maybe,
40,
right.
Like
You're dead a long time now.
Yeah. So like you're pushing.
You outlived the PW50 outlived you.
Yeah.
It's really an interesting thing. I mean, I've ridden them at this weight. Like I've ridden them as my body is right now. I've ridden PW50s and been like, it's all right.
Yeah.
It's okay.
I was just thinking about
Yamaha has both of the 2 longest lived
Yes,
motorcycles.
I think they do. Because I don't think, I mean, we agreed that the T-Dub goes back pretty far, but there are other bikes that go a little further. But that concept of just a never-ending motorcycle, that somebody would design something, because that doesn't work in the automotive industry. You're like, oh, I'm going to get an 81 Jeep. 81 Jeep and today's Jeep have fucking nothing in common, right? And you try to be like, oh, well, this is a line of car that's been John's Corvette has nothing in common with today's Corvette. Right,
way cool.
The motor's in the wrong, like their transmission's in the wrong spot, and all these other things about the vehicle is completely goddamn different. The name badge is still there, but everything else is different. In the automotive industry, what the fuck would it be like? Would it be a '79 Volkswagen Golf would still be on the road today?
Right.
That would be what it would take, and that ain't gonna happen. No. So the P-Dub, I got to give it to you. The P-Dub has stood the test of time.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And probably did teach. You know what? The half of the motorcycle industry that didn't learn how to ride a bike on a Trail 70 learned on a PW50.
Well, now too, think about this, man. Like if you were a kid in the last 10 years,
right?
Like if you got a PW50, you were like 2-stroking, you're probably rad. And then if you're like some other kid that got like a CRF 50, you're just lame, like with your little 4-stroke farting around in the back.
I don't know, man. I don't.
Well, that's what I've always heard about the PWs is they're not that fast.
No.
But they're still 2-strokes. So you
A
get
PW is meant for like a
two-strokers?
3 to 5. I mean, like
And-
you can start riding those at
And
single digits.
most of the
that's
kids that I
it.
know
The
that
smell,
are
the
doing
smell
doing the
and-
track days are doing CRFs.
Oh, yeah.
They're doing
I
CRF
get-
50s and 80s.
You missed
No,
my
but his
point.
idea was that
It's the
early in
smell,
your life,
man.
because I honestly, I'll be the first to tell you, sitting here right now, I could not have told you that the PW50 was 2-stroke or 4-stroke.
No.
okay.
I made an assumption it was a 4-stroke.
Yeah.
Made an assumption it was a 4-stroke because I didn't need to know.
Right.
Because the one that I rode, it was handed to me running, and I handed it back running, and there was nothing I could do in between to make it stop running.
Right.
So therefore,
that is
pretty
the truth.
goddamn good motorcycle.
That is
That's
the truth.
That's what I'm saying. Like, but when you get on them, like the kids that grew up with those, I mean, yes, it's probably inferior to the CRF 100%.
Who cares?
But you're
It's a
getting that, like
P-dub,
that.
But they're twist and go too. Like
Yeah.
they don't have clutch. You don't no clutch, no shift, whatever.
Just go.
Little bike, you jump on it.
Just go. Just go.
But it's got that smell and that sound.
Just
and
go.
that's-
That's cool though. I mean, like
that's what I'm
I dig
saying.
the hell out of that, and I do respect that idea of like you could say one thing. It was like I taught a generation of motorcyclists how to ride. No, man, you taught all motorcyclists how to ride. If you're a motorcyclist who's alive today, there's a pretty goddamn good chance you learned on a PW50.
Yeah, that's
because 1981 was a very long time ago. I mean, I was 12, right?
I was 11.
So when we think about that, that was a very, very long time ago. And yeah, when I was a kid at that age, kids in my neighborhood had PW50s. I remember it vividly. And I remember being 12-year-old jealous of a 7-year-old kid.
Yeah.
Because I was like, let me take a spin on that. No.
Yeah.
Let me take a spin on that. No. Fuck you, little rich prick. Yeah. The fuck out of here. I didn't want to ride your dumb bike anyway. Yep. I'm going to go garbage pick something. That's it.
My buddy Stevie and I, we used to we'd go to the Honda dealership and get one of the brochures and jerk off over an XR175.
Oh, yeah.
The silver XR75.
The silver one. Yeah. The silver one.
We wanted one, so we never got close to that.
No.
Me either. I wanted the
Most of
RM80.
my motorcycle enthusiasm is pent up like repressed rage because I didn't get the rage hard when I was a kid.
Yeah, but
Yep. Me too.
okay.
I wanted
That's
the
why
RM80.
Mid-Ohio exists, so we can buy that shit and ride it at slow speeds.
That's why
in
you
a
see
safe
all the old
environment.
men giddy as fuck on their RM80s and shit. Dude,
course
I am
they
buying. That's what I'm buying this year.
Oh, you're buying an
fucking
RM80?
Bang an RM80.
That's it. I'm a finally, dude. That's a scratch. You know how they have fucking people go back and they do something, and then their relationship with their father are okay.
Right. It's all good again.
Maybe this will resolve it, even though he's gone. Maybe if I buy that bike,
This
I'll be like,
is
finally, I got it.
the
Fuck
itch
you.
you'll finally scratch.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
that's-
I like
that's
the
what I'm
sound of
doing.
that. That sounds pretty badass, man.
right.
An RM80.
I
Yeah.
can still see my first bike driving away in the trunk of somebody's car after I got pulled over for giving my girlfriend a ride with no license, no plate, no
What was that?
insurance. That was a TS250.
The TS250. Yeah. The
And you
TS250.
got one back last year.
And I promptly sold it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're seeing it left in the back of somebody else's trunk in their car, right? Because it turns out you're good at that.
Yep.
But that is a very, like that idea of Mid-Ohio is the place where you go to buy the first bike you didn't get.
Yeah.
My dad was asking $250 for it, but got $350 out of them.
What?
How do you get more?
Was there a pandemic?
No.
Okay, all right.
They came and he got more out of them.
He's like,
It's on fire,
you want
man.
the wheels too. I, didn't
I like
talk
the way
about
your dad
wheels.
rolls. Oh,
Gas
it's
tank.
100 for the title.
Yeah.
I think they slipped and told him something like it had a different big bore kit or something on it. Oh, I don't want to sell it then. And I'm going to go. I'm going to have to ask more money then.
Oh, so he did the whole like,
I don't know.
I'm changing my mind. I'm not selling it.
I was so fucking grounded at that point. I wasn't even able to be part of it.
Dan, what is your bike, the bike that you missed on as a kid that you might be compelled to buy at Mid-Ohio?
Yeah, I didn't really wake up to motorcycles until I was 18.
Yeah,
I
but,
bought my Yamaha 400.
oh, so you did start.
Right.
Okay, that makes sense.
I
So
bought
you
that
kind of
bike-
hit the ground running.
I bought that bike for $50.
You did? You did. Wow. Tom, did you have a first bike that you didn't get?
So
Christmas bike?
this goes back to my I got a late start in motorcycles.
But he
I
did have
didn't
a
get a
girlfriend in
bike.
Canada.
Yeah.
But my brother and my sister, eldest sister, both had motorcycles growing up.
Yeah.
Now the first bike I ever got injured on was my brother's, Trial 80
Yeah.
back in the 70s.
Yeah.
He ran me double around the neighborhood,
Yeah.
and I burned my inner leg.
Yeah.
And ever since then, I've been like, maybe I should buy one of these just to see what it was like.
Yeah.
And that's really, honestly, if I was going to buy anything, it probably just to do this, it probably would be that.
Do you guys remember when I got that Cherry Weisinger? That ATC?
Oh, yeah.
The yellow one. So you guys don't know it, but that was it. That was my day. Like when I got that bike and it was perfect, and I mean you could eat off of any part of it. It was literally crate fresh, no miles bike. I got that thing, and like that was it. That was 10-year-old me got his bike. He got the one that he wanted more. I mean, I would see that. I'd see, like you said, go to the dealership and get the fucking brochures. And I was like, oh, I didn't want the 75. I want the 125, right? I want suspension. I want the two-stroke. I want this bike. And as a kid, I wanted it so hard. But the only two kids in my neighborhood that had them, we had trails that weren't far from my house, a suburban house. We had a street that they didn't build any houses on. Somebody fucked up and put the street too close to the highway. So you couldn't build houses there. So the kids had gone feral and turned it into a set of like mini bike trails and stuff, right? And it was no more than a block away, 2 blocks away from any of our houses. But it was the place we could go and be unsupervised and build ramps that went to the fucking moon. And there were 2 guys in the neighborhood that had those bikes. And the one kid, his dad paid for it. The other kid stole it. Okay. So the one kid comes out with it and he's rocking it and he gets super hurt like day 3. Because, you put your foot down and it just suck you right off the bike and then kill you and dance around on your body. So that kid had it and he got hospitalized right away. And then the bike went home And then the other kid that was a bad kid in the neighborhood showed up with a bike just like the other kid's bike, even broken in the same way. And he had this bike now, but he was that kid that was like smoking cigarettes way too early and was like, you know, on his 4th year of 6th grade.
Yeah.
And he's rocking that thing around with no shirt on, just being Captain Cool. And I was like, I want that fucking bike. So he's like, oh, you think you can take this for a ride? And I was like, oh, I can take that for a ride. I'm taking that for a ride. I got a Sears All Pro 20-inch high-rise handlebars. I'm good for jumps. And this kid gave me the thing, and I fucking looped myself in 4 feet. Like, and done. Just fucking cashed it. And he's like, yeah, you'd never be cool enough for this bike. And then he got arrested because he stole a kid's bike. So, and, you know, it turns out cops can get to the trails too. That was it until I turned my agent that I bought that fucking thing. And when I bought that thing, I was like, and when the guy delivered it, and I rode it around the shop at the Mentor store, and I rode through the woods and everything else, and I realized how fucking stupid they are and how dangerous they are and what a bad idea it was. I didn't care. I was so proud to have a stupid 2-stroke ATC from, 1983 or whatever.
Dude, that was my first bike, man.
I was so happy.
My Bobby Revell, who owns Tires for You in Macedonia or whatever over there. His dad used to own Revell Wholesale, so he was pretty wealthy.
Yeah.
And so he had that thing, and like I used to want it so bad, and then it broke.
Yeah.
And so after it sat in their garage for a year, I was like, what are you going to do with that bike? What are you going to do with that bike? They're like,
Right.
you can have it if you just get it the fuck out of here. So I took it home, and I knew nothing about motors.
Yeah.
And my dad was always helping me with cars, but he was busy, and I just, he didn't want me to have it. So I'm in the backyard fucking with it. I just tried to put everything back the way it seemed like it should go back together. Change the spark plug, which ended up being the problem. They didn't even understand that a 2-stroke probably gets a bad spark plug.
Every 11 minutes.
It would only run on like probably half choke.
Right.
It probably was only at about half power.
Yeah.
But I put 72,000 hours. My mom hated I was just riding around. We didn't have a giant yard, but I would just ride that fucking thing.
Never stop.
Well, the thing is like I kind of won because the reason that they couldn't do shit is they never thought I'd get it running.
Yeah, of course.
So they were like, yeah, you can ride it, whatever.
Yeah,
if
yeah,
you
sure.
get it running, you can ride it.
Oh, yeah, it's out of the question.
I got it running.
Yeah.
So, haha, fuck you. I'm riding it. Yep.
Yeah.
I burned through all my parents' lawnmower gas for
So, this could be some insight into why my parents gave me a boat at 13.
I was going to say.
That I had to work on all the time because it was like a 1958 Sea King motor.
If you give a kid a motorcycle, he'll never have money for drugs.
I just remember being
Same with boats.
from the time that I was a little kid. I made motorcycle noises everywhere I went.
Oh, yeah.
I would be pushing the shopping cart. I'd be like,
I grew up as a car kid.
Yeah.
Like everything, my entire childhood was cars, and my brother and sister had motorcycles.
Yeah.
I grew up with cars. My brother ended up in boats, and now I'm in motorcycles. It's really freaking stupid.
I got put on the back of my cousin Dwayne's Honda CB750 when I was maybe 3 years old. Way too young to be like, no helmet, no nothing, on the back of this motorcycle with my cousin Dwayne, who legitimately at the time probably was enhanced. And my mom says from the moment I got off, she says, I saw the motorcycle and I was never the same again.
Yeah.
And that I got off the motorcycle and I've never been the same since.
Right.
And that's how much of that impact it had on me. But then I also figured I was retarded because at some point Honda came out with the Honda Reflex. I'm not talking about the scooter. I'm talking about the fake street trials bike.
The TL250, yeah.
A trials bike that had turn signals.
Yep.
And a pint of gas.
Yep.
Right? And the wrong motor. But I saw it and it was just broken looking enough that I was like, I'm intrigued.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I want to have that. And it was, 85 or 83, you said, right? 83. I was working at H&H Cycle in East Lake. We had one. And the guy who owned the place was like, I'm going to die with that bike. And I thought that was cool that he was like, I'm going to keep this bike forever and die with it. I didn't realize until I owned a shop what he meant was nobody's ever going to buy this bike. And they're going to end up burying me with this fucking thing.
Yep.
And it's true that the whole time I had gone to the military in 87 and that bike was still in the shop because he wouldn't sell it for less than he paid for it because he's a lot like me or I'm a lot like him. But it never fired a shot in anger, that bike. Like it always just was out of the crate, sitting in the corner of the shop, just more shit piled on it. And he would just hang T-shirts on it and hang like marketing material and shit on it. And that thing just sat there. And I never rode it. He never rode it. I don't think he ever put gas in it. He once said something about like it's the dumbest motorcycle ever built because it doesn't have a seat or a gas tank. And in retrospect, but I really wanted it a lot. I thought it was a fucking cool, just because it looked weird, just because I thought it was strange looking.
Yep.
And now I look at him, I'm just like, what the fuck was Honda thinking? Like, Honda had some really bad ideas in the 80s.
That's,
Stupid shit.
After Katrina, I found myself in Austin.
That's my first motorcycle ride.
Oh,
Oh, no shit.
Is that the actual?
Yes, the
oh,
actual
yeah,
first
that's
motorcycle
an
ride.
old school picture.
Oh my goodness.
Is that a football
John,
helmet?
That is a football helmet.
That's me.
Which one of those 4 people are you? Because there's seriously, I see 4 people riding what I describe as a red basket with a stick underneath
Is
it.
this India?
That's a Honda CL90.
That's a CL90, so it is a red basket with a stick underneath it.
I'm
Oh,
on-
is that a windshield?
Yes,
That's a red bottom windshield.
yes. He had everything on it.
Oh,
And that's
wow.
me. That's me with my 2 older brothers. So which one am I?
So you're the tiny blonde in the front.
yeah,
So you're the crash zone.
the crumple zone.
You are the crumple zone.
That's awesome.
Because I knew you were blonde haired. I knew you were a toe-headed kid. Yeah.
Oh, that is a red bottom
Wow,
windshield.
that is a red bottom windshield on a
Yeah.
Honda. That shit's rare as hen's teeth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, good for you, man.
This is my mom. You can actually see the full bike now.
Oh, you can see the whole bike.
With the
you
crash
can see the whole
bars and
bike.
everything.
Oh, that is a fully loaded.
Oh, yeah.
Fully, he had every farkle you could.
That
put
is
on.
$400 with a motorcycle and $900 with accessories. Oh, and he had the,
I bet you it dropped at about 15 miles an hour.
Yeah,
And I know my dad that I know that because we started trying to ride it, and he sold it, and I know that somebody bought that and ran it through the field, and I know he didn't get nearly enough money for it. And it's like, why would you ever sell that bike?
And you know why?
It took nothing to keep it
Right. But you know why he sold it.
because we were going to get in trouble.
That's
We
exactly
already started.
right.
My brother Mark would take it out and run it around.
He did
the
not
yard.
want
He'd come
to be-
home, he'd see the tracks in
Yeah.
the yard. He'd be like,
He did not want to be that bike to be the
got in
reason
a crash on it.
one
That
of
was
you
part
got
of it.
fucking hurt. Yeah. Because that's usually what happened at my house. At my house, once I started garbage pick, because we used to ride lawnmowers and washing machines up and down the street. To preface this, washing machines used to have gas motors. So there used to be washing machines that had gasoline powered motors in them. And it turns out it's a pretty good way to use it for a go-kart motor or something like that. So we would garbage pick washing machines, old
Wait,
washing
in
machines.
the house, they'd have a fucking
Gasoline powered motor, yeah. Well, it's usually you'd have it outside of the house. You'd have it in the garage or something like that.
Okay.
But it was a Whirlpool washing machine with some of them had 2-stroke, some of them had 4-stroke motors in them. Look it up. It's for old people.
yeah, Maytag hit miss.
Medtech, hit
like a 2-stroke hit miss.
Yeah, exactly. So we would garbage pick those and take the motors out of them and combine that with a riding lawnmower or whatever else you could find, and you make a go-kart out of it, right? For lack of a better term. But my mom was famous for saying, Jesus Christ, the kids are riding up and down the street on a washing machine again. And our neighbors always thought it was funny. My mom would say the kids are riding up and down the street on a washing machine, but it's not far from the truth.
Right on.
Because many dead washing machines came into our houses to have the motor stripped out of them. Yeah. Because that was that era when people were moving from those types of washing machines into like proper electric powered washing machines. Anyway, I digress. So my dad discovered that we were like, once I figured out welding and once I figured out like gluing metal to metal and then putting chains on things, that we were building more and more high capacity go-karts and shit. And so then somebody showed up with a Sears mini bike frame. And then the first kid that garbage picked or otherwise obtained a mini bike frame, that was it. The use of force continuum escalated rapidly after that, because then it was just like, fuck yeah. Mm-hmm. We all became like, fuck the go-karts.
Dude, once
fuck
you
the
feel
riding
that-
tractors.
Once you feel that, like, fucking
2 wheels, man.
two wheels, but more like the mini bike, the way it chugs when you hit it, it's like
The mini bike, when you lean it over 1 degree too far and the poles that are welded on to be your foot pegs dig in and toss you 37 feet, then you're like, I'm living now.
Or
That
I
is it.
like some of the bikes we'd build, like the custom frames. Where people would just randomly cut pieces of angle or diamond plate and weld it with the sharp cut edges still out. So like when you wreck, you slice your leg.
Oh, we had choppers that we made with, literally quarter round, and the garbage. And we'd had it was just trash. But in our neighborhood though, the cops couldn't take them away from us fast enough. We were Jawas. We could build one. We could assemble one faster than the police could take it away. You know, so they'd be like,
you
"Yeah, we
mentioned
took one."
riding mowers.
Yeah.
Oh, we riding mowed the shit out of riding mowers. Like, especially like winter time. Like we take the deck's coming off.
Of course, the deck's coming off.
We always had to take a string, tie it right to the throttle so you can give it full, bypass the governor and everything. Fourth gear, wide open, pop the clutch, do donuts.
People are just like
wheelies, tip it over. Fuck yeah.
We were so adept at replacing belts with sprockets. Like the belt pulleys would drop off of these things, and next thing you know, there'd be chains and sprockets. And then it goes from something that won't kill you if it runs you over to something that will kill you and disfigure the corpse.
Right.
So, like as children, we were doing all this shit. So in our neighborhood, when somebody showed up on, like you said, the RM80, that motherfucking bike, when the first kid had the RM80, we were just like, oh. Fuck.
Dude, the snap. I'll never forget the first time you heard it.
Oh, God. So out of our league.
Yeah.
And then there's always the one wealthy asshole shows up on the Pook, Magnum Mark II.
Dude, there's something about how the fenders hung off that bike and shit. Like when all the new dirt bikes came out, I got mad at them.
Yeah.
They lost that whole droopy dog.
The droopy dick coming off the front. The front
stuff.
fender that's rubbing on the tire. Yeah.
Yeah,
It is a true thing. So that's a good thing to visit at Mid-Ohio when you're walking around there and you're looking and you see that bike and you're like, fuck, man. That was my first bike. It's more important to say that wasn't my first bike.
Right.
Because the bike that was your first bike, you got that.
Yeah, and that was the thing. But I told you guys before, man, every Christmas I'd come running fucking down because I have a dream that I got this RM80.
Yeah.
Run into the garage to the womp, womp, womp. And then and the rest of the day didn't fucking
And you
matter.
had a Huffy Thunder Road.
Yeah, or a pair of sneakers or some shit like that. I'm like, fuck, man.
I miss my Huffy Thunder Road.
I didn't get we were not of that income class where we could have a Huffy Thunder Road, so I got a broke ass garbage picked Sears All Pro. And if you know anything about bicycles, it's not a good one.
No, I had some shit.
That is not a good one. But that was like the kids that had Thunder Roads in my neighborhood. I was like, fuck you, man. Come on. Why do you got to make it hurt?
First Thunder Road. Then we find out John went to a private school.
No, I was waiting for him to tell me he had the Evil Knievel Thunder Road.
Hey, Phil, can you just go over there? You're kind of making me feel bad riding my Thunder Road over here.
I know. That loaf of bread seat.
Jesus, you're
Fake
sitting there
ass
looking
shocks.
at me like you want to fucking...
God damn it, John.
Go get on your Sears.
Yeah, fuck you. No, mine. You know what color my Sears All Pro was? Government cheese orange. Because that's what I used to hustle my government cheese on.
Sea King outboard.
Oh, Sea King.
Sears.
That was Sears, wasn't it?
Actually, it was Evinrude.
It was Evinrude, but it was sold by
brand,
Allstate
right?
Sears. Yeah.
I rode that bike till the steering head bearings cut through the headstock.
Oh wow.
And it broke when I was doing a jump, and the axle went right here in my chest, and I have a scar still. Almost killed me.
Jesus Christmas. Well, I think that's been a fantastic podcast.
Yeah.
Historical, folklorical, all the above. Right? I'm you know what?
Stevel Knievel.
Stable Canivical.
and Dan and Tino Rossi Spumante over here.
And you were obliterated the whole time. And on that, I think we better ride fast and take chances.
Yep.
Play us out of here, John.
Bum, 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 bum,
Memory of Tina Turner.
Big chances.